Welcome back to another World Cup Fantasy Deadline stream. This time, out of Matchday 6, the quarterfinals are already here, and in 11 days' time, we will know who has won the World Cup. So that's how quickly time flies around here, and it just seems like every single year it gets even quicker. But that's just me. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. And after the double upload yesterday, the best wildcard squad for Matchday 6 and my team selection, a few things have changed a little bit. We are going to get the Morocco versus France lineup, so that's going to be quite interesting. But for example, I don't think Halal will start there for Morocco. And if that's the case, well, I would say, yeah, I'm going to sell him, but he could actually be the sort of ideal 15th man who I'm not even going to play. And he will just be that 3-point family enabler, but I just don't see him starting. Hopefully I'm wrong and I can get some points out of him, but I just don't see Morocco keeping a clean sheet in this game. Having said that, I think the two most likely nations to do so on Matchday 6 would be France and Spain. In what order? I mean, that's another story in of itself, but Spain have been the most solid defense in this tournament, conceding no goals whatsoever, and they are the only country to do so. I haven't used any of my 4-free transfers just yet, but unfortunately, I activated the clean sheet shield last time out, and if Argentina and England only conceded one, that would have been a perfect use of the chip, but both of them conceded twice against Mexico and Egypt respectively. So I'll be honest with you, I think the quarterfinals might be very frustrating for me because I could see a lot of my defenders especially and goalkeepers just conceding the one goal, and that's the perfect use of the clean sheet shield. So that could be a massive swing against me there, but all I can do now is focus on what I can control, and that's the 4 free transfers. I've got 4 eliminated players, of course. Manzambi is a big doubt to face Argentina. I don't think he'll be in the starting lineup, but that would be a massive boost for Switzerland if he was able to recover in time. Halal, like I said, I don't think will start, but that's not the biggest issue I've got in my squad. And I am missing the likes of Jude Bellingham, who is a suspension risk. The same goes for Michael Elise, who's already in my team. And I covered the 17 doubts, or at least the 17 suspension risks. If they get one more booking, they will miss the next game. And that's all covered in those 2 videos I uploaded yesterday. Drop a like on this one, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, share, hype, all that, and also comment as well for those watching on the playback, and participate in the live chat too so we can get more questions going. And towards the end of this stream, and probably I'd say after the deadline, I'm going to gift 10 memberships there for an entire month, and you get many perks there, like early access to my videos, prior to comments. Check the description, and also go to the join button on YouTube and patreon.com/FPLDylan for all the tidbits there. But I'm going to go into your questions now for the next couple of minutes, maybe even for an hour, since we've got plenty of time until Matchday 6 locks in. And I think it's very important to hold out, if possible, for the Morocco versus France lineup. I think France will go for an unchanged side, to be fair, and Barkla could be a decent punt in the midfield. Welcome, Banjo. Locked in and ready. Can Dylan make his mind up, or are we in for a buzzer beater 30 seconds to go pick? It depends, really. If the lineups are what I expect for Morocco and France, I've already got a solid idea of what I want to do. I definitely want to bring in Jude Bellingham, even though Gordon is a decent alternative in the midfield, but I think Bellingham is the priority for me, and after that I'll shape the rest of my transfer plans accordingly. But Alex Baena was one player who I wasn't ever too keen on, but because I think Spain will go through to the next round and I could see them even reaching the final, I think having that Spanish midfielder is of interest to me, but I think the goals are quite spread between all of them except for Oyarzabal up front. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult one, but hopefully not 30 seconds to go. I should lock it in a little bit earlier than that, but we'll see in a couple of hours' time. Love the drama and interaction from our #1 pundit. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know why. It's like a bit of a rush maybe for me, but yeah, I don't do it intentionally all the time. I think what usually happens is I focus so much on the stream and the questions that I kind of lose track of my own squad, and then I sort of give it like a last minute or two in terms of thinking, and then you could say panicking in some cases, but I usually get the job done. With a couple of the heavy hitters out, we surely aren't going for too many underdog picks. That's the thing though, Norway, Switzerland, Belgium, Morocco, they all have a chance, but I think Spain and France are the most likely to advance to the next round, and the winner of that semi-final, should they get to that stage, I think will be the favourite to win the World Cup. Norway or no way? Loco to go Morocco or stupid to go Swiss? Oh, that's some pretty good puns there. I didn't expect that. Well, I think out of those three, yeah, well, Morocco, Norway winning, I wouldn't mind that so much. But yeah, ultimately, I think an upset could happen in the quarterfinals, and I think Norway are the most likely to advance out of the sort of underdogs. Then probably Switzerland, I'd say. I don't give Morocco too much of a chance, but you never know. It was quite close in Qatar a couple of years ago. Take a minus or leave dead spaces. Depends on the context of the team. I think a -3 isn't too shabby in some situations, but preferably I would avoid the hits. I wouldn't go for -6 and above, though. Yeah, I'm dropping a clean sheet shield. I would use that for those that still have that chip available. Obviously, some might even have the 12th man. I mean, the deeper you go into this competition, the less effective that looks on paper. But then again, I wasted that chip and the clean sheet shield. The wild card was quite solid for me, and the qualification booster, but the other two were a big disappointment. I'm hoping for much better when I deploy my final remaining chip, which is the Maximum Captain. That will be either Matchday 7 or 8, and my current preference will be for the final and third place playoff towards the end of this tournament. So use a booster or save. Yeah, once again, depends on which chips you have remaining, but I think with the 12th man and qualification booster, you use it now if you still have those chips. All will be asked here with number 1 Dylan. Thank you very much, Banjo. And yeah, quite a lot of things that you've covered already. I mean, that's it. I've already covered the stream. See you later, everyone. Baraf says, yo, I don't know why, but YouTube literally translated your message to, oh yeah, we'll almost start. I think it's possible, yeah. I haven't seen many Spain predicted lineups, though, but I'll have a look and give you my sort of well, is it informed opinion? Maybe not in this case, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good one. Okay, I just saw the confirmed referees. There's a lot of debate now going on about referees and stuff, but for the England-Norway game, Leandro Trossard's brother, aka Clement Turpin, will be the main referee, and there will be some Spanish officials as well. Wow, that's interesting, but who gives a crap? Just play the game. That's what I'd say. Let's get the Spain predicted lineup then and see what I can come up with. I think there are doubts about Alex Baena more than anything else. I don't think Olmo is particularly nailed on. Yeah, Olmo isn't a guarantee, but I think he will start. I'd have more confidence in that than Alex Baena at this moment in time, but I'm going to have a look at other predicted lineups too. Not saying that they're gospel or that they're very reliable, but it can give a foundation. So this is another one, which is pretty much what we saw in the last round against Portugal. Unai Simon, Pedro Porro, Cubarsí, Laporte, Cucurella, Rodri, Pedri, Yamal, Olmo, Baena, and Oyarzabal. But yeah, I think Baena wasn't particularly great against Portugal. Yeah, that's a good score. Easy, and obviously a solid rank. Just got to end the tournament strongly now. Will we see another big hitter fall and an upset for a change? Well, there have been a few upsets already in the round of 16 and even round of 32, with Germany being knocked out by Paraguay. I think one elimination or surprise shock, if you will, yeah, it's probable. Well, not probable, but it's possible. Like I said before, Norway's the one I'd say is the most likely. After that, yeah, I think Switzerland might be the next most likely, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully that isn't the case. Easy says 4 eliminated players, 2 injured, probably use a -3 on 1 extra player, while the other players just keep it there empty. Probably defender. I think a lot of people are in a similar situation. So I said earlier that I've got 4 eliminated players. That's actually not true. I've got Dest, Vinicius Jr. and Munoz who are out, but Saibari is not going to play for the rest of the competition. That's very unfortunate there. Manzambi is a major doubt to play against Argentina. Halal, I don't think will start today, but he's the least of my concerns. I think with the rest, even though the double up in the Argentina defense doesn't look good right now, against Switzerland, it's still a good fixture on paper for a clean sheet, and yeah, I've got bigger fish to fry, if you will. So that's why, with unlimited transfers, I would change quite a bit in this squad. So those with the wild card might actually benefit from using that chip right now. No, I don't think so, and I hope not. Messi's been outstanding in this World Cup. Even when he's had a few shaky moments, like against Austria and Egypt, he just steps up when it matters most. Can Norway row into the semi-finals with... Well, okay, I'm not saying that at the end. Well, I'm going to be biased when I answer this about the clean sheet shield. I mean, I wasted the chip myself, but I can see it working well either this round or the next, and that's where the frustrations would lie. There's even a case to say that in Matchday 8 it can work. So for those with the clean sheet shield and the maximum captain, there is a debate to use one on Matchday 7 and the other on Matchday 8. I think that could work, but if I still had that booster, I'd use the clean sheet shield now. Is it a waste of a chip? Maybe. It's definitely not my favorite. I prefer the 12th man, which I also wasted this year, but yeah, both of them aren't going to be as powerful as a wildcard, for example. I'd rather have a chip called player chip booster. Goalkeeper, every save get 1 point. Defender, DM, every tackle gets 1 point. Mid, every successful pass dribble. Definitely not every successful pass. That's where I would disagree. That'd be way too OP. I mean, midfielders would be getting, well, in some cases, like, Vitinha, who made like over 100 passes a few rounds ago. We're looking at a ridiculous number of points there, which would be, yeah, just not fair. But that is a good idea in principle. So every shot on target for strikers, yeah, that could work. It's similar already to the point scoring system they have in place for them anyway. So I think that's a really good idea, just not the pass one. I can't agree with you on that one. But dribbles or something like that, or every, key pass, because in this game it's actually big chances created, which gives you points for midfielders, not key passes, so that would be an idea. Norway or no way. Yeah, that's a good one. Banjo's having a lot of fun with that. We all need 2 12-man chips. I'd rather that than the clean sheet shield, but that's just me. This is L'Equipe's predicted lineup for France. So Magnan, Upamecano, Koundé, Saliba, Dean, Kone, Rabiot, Dembele, Elise, Doué, Mbappe. So that'd be one change. Doué in for Barcola, which would be quite helpful, I think, for a lot of people because Doué is a bit cheaper. So we'll see what actually ends up happening. We're going to find out in an hour's time. So there is still a while to go. So yeah, Barcola out, Doué in. Do we have news on Saibari and Manzambi? Saibari's out. That's confirmed already. It's official. He got a hamstring injury. So yeah, the reports from very early on were suggesting that he could miss the entire World Cup. The Moroccan FA gave a statement and they said they hope he's back for the next game. But that's if Morocco beat France. Otherwise, there will be no next game for Morocco. But yeah, I don't think so. But well, he's not going to play against France. I mean, that's confirmed. As for Manzambi, we don't know enough yet, but he missed the last couple of training sessions against Colombia. He missed the game entirely, so he wasn't in the squad, and he is a doubt, a major one, in fact, to play against Argentina, but I think he would give them so much threat, and I could see him causing the reigning World Cup champions all sorts of problems. So if Switzerland were able to get him back, I think that could really balance the scales in that game. To avoid any disastrous upsets, my maximum play of nations 2 to 3. I'll be honest, I'm that confident in France and Spain winning that I don't mind having 4 or 5 from them, especially France. I think with Spain, probably 2 or 3 defenders / Unai Simon in goal, and then an attacker, whether that's Oyarzabal or Yamal, is up to you. But I think a lot of us will probably go for a cheaper option like Olmo or maybe Baena, simply because they could start, and it also allows us to buy Bellingham, Dembele, and Elise. So who thinks Haaland will outscore Kane? Not me. I think Kane will outscore him. And even if he doesn't, England should win and go through. I took Saibari out for Yamal. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, easy. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. Argentina versus Egypt had 3 officials from France, including the main referee. So it is what it is. It's about if the referee is good enough on the day. Do I sell Kane for Haaland or buy Oyarzabal? Just keep Kane. That's my advice. Between the 2 situations you pose, I'd probably buy Oyarzabal, but I prefer Kane. Yamal or Haaland as my 12th man? Yamal. Best wildcard is covered in my video yesterday, so I highly encourage you to check that out because I won't be able to go into the same level of detail in today's stream in terms of the best wildcard squad as I was in that video. I've got 4 Spanish, 3 French, 3 Argentinian, 2 English, 1 Swiss, 1 Moroccan options. Well, I'm just wondering which players you're talking about here, but that's a pretty decent balance overall. The only country you're not really covering, or countries, are Belgium and Norway. But I think having 7 of your 50-man squad from Spain and France is a good play. It is a bit of a concern for Matchday 7, because even if they go through, they will face each other. And ultimately, you will have these players for Matchday 8 either, if they go through. So just bear in mind, if your players go through to the next round, they will also feature on Matchday 8 because we don't just have the World Cup final, but the deadline is actually for the third place playoff, as we saw 4 years ago between Morocco and Croatia. Haaland not touching the ball so much, but when he touches it, he will score immediately. Sometimes, not always, but he is clinical and he's one of the best strikers in world football. I mean, what you're saying is nothing new. We saw that many times with Man City, even Borussia Dortmund and RB Salzburg over the years. And clean sheet shield active. Yeah, that's good. I think it's going to do well this week, and I'm going to try not think about it too much because it is a bit of a piss take. Yes, I'm aware of that. I said it many times in my videos that Bellingham and Elise are 1 yellow card away from suspension, but yeah, I'm not too concerned about Elise. I think Bellingham could get booked against Norway and miss the semi-final against either Argentina or Switzerland, but I'll be honest, I'm still going to buy Bellingham anyway, unless I find another transfer plan that appeals to me more. I think Bellingham's coming in. Does Medina start? I don't think so. It's not a guarantee either way, to be honest, and I said this before the game against Egypt, because Medina had cramp towards the end of the game against Cape Verde in extra time, and he was also a little bit at fault for the first goal conceded, which was completely avoidable. So, look, Tagliafico wasn't great, but obviously he was involved in a few moments. He won the penalty against Egypt, and he also created a chance for Alvarez, which should have been converted in the first half. And Tagliafico is usually very solid for Argentina. I mean, he wasn't dribble passed in the entire World Cup in Qatar, but he has been already a few times in this tournament. But I think Argentina in general have been a bit vulnerable defensively. So yeah, try not to spam, please. I'm going to answer as many questions as possible. So if you do repeat yourself, you run the risk of not being answered. Just saying that. Keep Medina. I'm not sure about that. And it might be a similar situation to me with Halal, where ultimately you've got eliminated players or injuries like Saibari, which will take precedence, and you'd rather sell those players instead. I wouldn't necessarily say something like, oh, you have to sell Medina, but if possible, I would probably offload him. I will try to have a look and see if we get any sort of predicted lineups or information about Argentina, but I haven't seen anything yet, especially from the reliable sources, so that is a bit of a shame. But with Argentina playing towards the end of the match day, that doesn't really help when it comes to team news before the deadline. But that won't be the case for France versus Morocco, of course, because we're going to get those in just an hour's time, and that's going to be very helpful, particularly with the Doué or Barkley debate. ¿Crees que sea buen momento de cambiar a Dembélé por Lamine Yamal? No es un mal momento, pero te digo la verdad, quizás es mejor vender a Olise, porque él corre el riesgo de perder el próximo partido si lo dan amarilla. No creo que va a pasar, pero obviamente está ese riesgo comparado con Dembélé, que no tiene amarilla en este torneo. Si me gusta el Yamal contra Bélgica, creo que puede ser una muy buena opción. Y si tuviera una mejor posición en términos de jugadores eliminados y como Halal, que no es un buen jugador para Fantasy, pero por lo menos hizo algo cuando lo compré, y Saibari, que está lesionado, bueno, quizás ahí voy a comprar a Yamal y estoy contento con eso, pero no sé si vendería a Dembélé por Yamal. Creo que en mi caso no lo voy a hacer, así que eso es mi sugerencia para vos también, pero vos, como lo preguntaste vos, ¿es un buen momento de cambiarlo? Creo que puede ser, te digo la verdad, pero no lo voy a hacer yo mismo. Thoughts on the 5 referees, 5 Argentinas for France, Morocco? Not a big deal in my opinion. I mean, people said something similar when Portugal faced Morocco, and because Portugal got knocked out, people just started clinging on to the fact that the referee was Argentinian. I watched the entire game. He actually handled that very well. I don't think the referee is particularly good. That's the major concern, not his nationality. But ultimately, we just had a French referee for the Argentina game, so I mean, you tell me. I mean, he was voted the best referee in 2024, second best last year, and he got every major decision spot on. So as long as they do their job, I honestly couldn't care less. And I don't think France are going to lose because of an Argentinian referee. If they lose, I think France are fucked up, to be honest. Let's go to the next questions. I don't know why, but my live chat is bugging out a little bit, but I'll try my best. Hey, mate, Saibari will be playing this match against France. I'm not sure where you got that from, but if you have a link, let me know, because every source that I've seen has said that he's out. Take a hit on a Spanish defender for Medina. By the way, triple Argentina defense and no Spain. Yeah, I don't like hits in general. I'd rather avoid them if possible, but Spain have the best defense, and I'd say right now France probably have the second best. from the teams remaining, maybe England third and Argentina fourth. To be fair, Switzerland are quite organised. I'd rank them better than Belgium, Morocco, and Norway for sure. But yeah, I think that's probably viable, to be fair, especially with Cucurella, who has a bit of attacking threat, and I don't think Medina starts, so I'd probably do it. Is it worth taking out Hakimi for Spain or Argentinian defender? Probably not Argentinian, to be honest. Hakimi at least has the attacking potential, but he's facing France. I'd probably go for a Spanish defender. Bellingham or Yamal? Chose Bellingham, but I'm very keen on Yamal. Yeah, if money's no issue, I think Yamal makes a lot of sense, but Bellingham has been far better in this tournament when it comes to goals and assists. I know football isn't all about that, but I'm covering fantasy here, and we want points, so that's how you're going to get them. Bellingham can also get tackle points, which Yamal doesn't really do that often. So it's a good question. I do like Yamal against Belgium, and if I had the 12th man now, I'd probably use it on him. But it's just 1 goal in 5 matches for him. And I know Yamal's a quality player. He's played very well, so I'm not going to just judge him on GA. But from a fantasy perspective, I think Bellingham is better. So yeah, we're going to get the lineups in an hour. So around 7:45 PM in the UK. And yeah, once that's announced, I'll cover it. But the game does start at 9 PM, so we still got over 2 hours left until the deadline. Once we get that information, I'll provide it, and we can talk about any upsets, any surprises. And obviously, there was one last time with Chadi Riyad missing out and Halal coming in, which is why I bought him. He got me 8 points, so very happy with that. But I think Chadi Riyad could regain his spot in that lineup against France this time. John Stones could start. I saw a bit of news yesterday that Declan Rice, Mark Gay, and Bukayo Saka, I think, all trained individually. So there is a case there, but I think with England, it's probably Konsa to cover their defence, Pickford in goal. I'm not a big fan of the defensive double-up. Why use the clean sheet now and not in the semi-final? I just see a lot of the games now as having 1 goal conceded from the teams, and that's what's going to get you the points. That's what's going to gain you something over those that don't have the clean sheet shield. But that's my prediction, and ultimately I used it last week, and it was an absolute shit show. It went really badly, and it was another waste of a chip like the 12th man. Luckily, my wildcard was good, and so was the qualification booster, but with the other 2 boosters, let's not talk about that. Pedro Porro or Cubarsí? Porro has more attacking potential, a higher ceiling, but I'll be honest with you, I'd probably just go for Cubarsí. Barcola start? I think he will. Having said that, there's no point speculating because we're going to get the French lineup and Moroccan in an hour's time. Bring in Tagliafico or Molina this week. They're both not secure, but I'd rather go for Tagliafico at the moment. I think he's a bit more likely to start. If Doué starts, Olmo or Doué? Probably Doué, but it also depends on the rest of your structure. So if you got Mbappe, Elise, and Dembele, as good as France are, I don't think I'd have 4 French attackers. In that case, I'd go for Olmo. So it is team dependent as well. Santiago says, I'm selling Ronaldo. Would you buy Haaland or Oyarzabal? I'd go for Oyarzabal. I think Spain have a better chance of going through. I also think their fixture against Belgium is more appealing than Haaland against England. Of course, we all know Haaland's a beast. 61 goals in 54 caps is incredible. But I think England are the favourites. Spain would be against Belgium as well. And I still think that Belgian defence is very suspect. So I'd rather go for Oyarzabal there. 4 eliminated players and 2 injured, so I'm not sure about buying Haaland. Yeah, I also think Norway will lose. They have a chance, so don't rule them out. The same goes for Switzerland. Even Morocco to a certain extent, although, as you probably know by now, I'm very confident France and Spain will go through. But especially with Switzerland and Norway, I think they've got a genuine chance. Baena, I'm just not as sure about him now, to be honest. How comes you speak Spanish so well? Well, Argentinian roots, that's all I'm going to say. Let the hate begin, come on. Bring it on. Who will start right back for England? It's a possibility that Konsa could play there. If Mark Gay is fully fit, then we can see Stones and Gay together. But it all depends on James's fitness. But obviously they can play Spence there. I mean, that would be the most natural solution with Nico Riley left back. So those are the options for them. But I'd probably say Jed Spence. I'll go for a predicted lineup and or a few of them actually. That'd be the preference, and then give you a final verdict. But that's my initial take on it. I think Jed Spence is probably the most likely. Would I recommend him in fantasy? Probably not. And I think Norway could score. So I saw one predicted lineup with Jed Spence in there, and another one, this time by the standard, which has Pickford, James, Concert, Gahey, O'Reilly, Anderson, Rice, Saka, Bellingham, Gordon, and Kane. So, by the way, for those that aren't aware, Quansah is suspended for 2 matches after that red card against Mexico. So, yeah, that's confirmed. If Reece James is available and ready to start, he's going to be in that lineup. Otherwise, I think Jed Spence. I don't think Molina starting is a guarantee. He is first choice, but I think Montiel could come in, and he got the assist for Messi's equaliser. 34 games undefeated. It's France, mate. I'm sorry to say that. I hope Morocco can go through. Good luck to them, but I think France will get the job done. Martinez, Magnan, or Simon? I think Unai Simon is the best in isolation. Now, when you look at Matchday 6 specifically, I think Magnan is the most likely for a clean sheet, but Spain have conceded 0 goals, and in terms of the expected goals conceded, all the underlying numbers point towards Spain having by far the best defence in this tournament. And I was sold a bit of a dream with Argentina because in the first 2 matches, they were so solid defensively, conceding 1 shot on target. Then they rotated against Jordan, looked a little bit shaky, obviously conceded there in that 3-1 win. And ever since, they've been very suspect. In terms of the XGC, I don't think Argentina are conceding too many big chances, but other teams are scoring worldies against them. And as good as Debo is, and obviously had a great Qatar tournament, he's one of the best goalkeepers in international history, but I don't know. I don't get that impression that he's actually going to save it, if you catch my drift. And the defence is a bit suspect at times. I mean, Lisandro Martinez, pretty good against Cape Verde with a goal and assist, but against Egypt, he was awful for both goals conceded. So it has to be Unai Simon for me. I've got 7.1 for a midfielder. Yeah, Gordon's decent. He's not my favourite, as in overall. I'd rather prioritise one of Doué or Barcola. You know my sort of favourites would be Elise, Dembele, Yamal, and Bellingham, but we can't necessarily afford them alongside Messi, Kane, and Haaland or Mbappe, you know, having 3 of those 4 forwards. So it's about priorities. But I think at 7.1 and below, Gordon would be one of my favourites, yeah. Baena, Gordon, Trossard, De Ketelaere. Choose one, Gordon. Saibari replacements up to 6.8 million. Already have Baena. I like De Ketelaere and Trossard, but they're facing Spain. That's my problem with those picks. At 6.8 and below, it's not really much that I liked a lot, to be honest. That's why I talked about Alex Baena in my team selection video, and even the wildcard squad. I think what I'd probably do, if it's for free, I'd say a Belgian midfielder, and you've got that insurance policy, but I wouldn't force it in. Please rank midfield options for Argentina. None of them are particularly great in terms of goals and assists, but that header by Enzo Fernandez was brilliant, and he can get those goal contributions, mainly for Chelsea, but he is good for Argentina normally. I'm going to say probably Enzo Fernandez is top. Not many points to really show for it, though. I think in second would be probably McAllister. Yeah. I think the Paul would be last, to be fair. Great assist for Messi against Algeria on match day 1, but he's not going to get many goal contributions. Yamal or Bellingham? Probably Bellingham. I really like Yamal, but yeah, I think Bellingham. Baena or Olmo? I think Olmo. To be fair, that could also be another option for those looking for a budget midfielder, so to speak. Mid-priced is probably the more accurate term. But yeah, he is above that threshold. 7.7. I mean, I'd rather just buy Bellingham for that money, or even one of Doué or Barcola. Not a big fan of McAllister in World Cup fantasy. I also think he's been a bit shaky in the last 2 matches for Argentina, but Yeah, he's a good player, and he's usually quite reliable for the Albi Celeste, but I think there are better options elsewhere. Haaland over Kane? Not for me. Could Burn get the nod over O'Reilly to deal with Sorlot's physicality? Never say never, but I don't think that's the right call. I think O'Reilly will start, but he's not as nailed on, if you will, as an Ezri Konsa. I think Gordon will start with Rashford off the bench. Tagliafico versus Dean. Already have double Argentina and 0 French. I wouldn't triple up on Argentina defensively, so go for the French one. But only buy Luca Dean if he's in the lineup, which we're going to find out in an hour's time. If Doué starts, Olmo or Doué, as covered earlier, it would be Ezri? It would be Desiree Doué. But yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with this chat, by the way. Maybe it's overheating again. And this is a different device that I'm using, by the way. But yeah, this room is it's bloody hot, I'm telling you. It might be 33 degrees outside, but it's like 40 plus in this room. But I'm trying my best. Manzambi, Saibari both not playing. Manzambi hasn't been officially ruled out, but he is a major concern. So based on probabilities, I don't think he'll start against Argentina. And to be honest, as an Argentinian, I hope he doesn't. He's a good player. But I want, you know, Argentina to go through, if I'm being honest with you. As for Saibari, he's confirmed out. So there's nothing we can do about that one, except sell him if you have the extra transfer available. 19 Cup 92 says, I'm going with Erling Haaland. First, I think Norway will score. I agree. Second, Norway relies on Haaland way more than England relies on Kane. True, but England do rely on Kane quite a lot. Apart from him and Bellingham, I mean, the rest of the goals, I mean, are quite minimal for England. But obviously with Norway, without Haaland, who's going to score for them? I get your point. England have plenty of goal-scoring options and don't solely depend on him. Yeah, that's fair enough, but also factor in who's more likely to go through. If you think Norway, then fair enough. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility, but England have the better team. They've got more pedigree. I think experience also plays a big part. And as bad as, maybe not bad, as frustrating as England have been in recent tournaments, getting to semi-finals and finals and not quite getting over the line, they are going quite far in tournaments on a consistent basis. So I think England have the edge. Yamal or Elise? I'll be honest, for this round, I think Yamal might have the edge here. But that's just a personal take of mine. Thank you, Mo Aslam. And yes, I am Argentinian, so let me know. Technically, dual nationality with England, but let's not get into all the specifics. Pickford only goalkeeper. Should go for another for a hit. I wouldn't take a hit, no. Could Magnan and Unai Simon keep clean sheets? Yes, and they're probably the most likely of any goalkeeper this week, but is it worth a hit? Let's say they do keep a clean sheet. You're looking at 7 points. Maybe if you have the clean sheet shield active, then that boosts the appeal of taking a hit for a goalkeeper. But I probably wouldn't do it, no. I think for hits, you're saving them for the midfield and forward line, buying a Bellingham, Dembele, Yamal, these sorts of players, especially the big hitters up front, which includes Haaland. Oyarzabal could be decent, and obviously the 3 I've got on screen. Yeah, I'm not sure why the clock is broken, by the way, but yeah, thanks for that. All right, so we've got 2 hours, 11 minutes left. What the fuck? Yeah, some weird things are happening with the technology now. But yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, all sorted now. Martinez or O'Reilly? Lisandro Martinez. Yeah, I agree. Yamal is frustrating to own in fantasy. Not offering so much in terms of delivery and points, but this could change, and that's where the quality of the player could shine through. I think Borra will start over Llorente, but it's been very balanced so far in this tournament, so I couldn't really guarantee it either way, but I think he is currently first choice. Yeah, thanks as well to Stepaki. Yeah, I'm not sure why. It was all working before I went live, but yeah, I have to like triple, quadruple check sometimes with these, so I'll do that next time. Double French defense or double Spanish? I think Spanish. They've got the best defense in this tournament, and I know most people think France are the best team, and they have probably been the most impressive so far, but I think Spain could beat them in the semi-finals. Bellingham over Gordon? Yes. Oyarzabal or Haaland? Oyarzabal. Saibari and Medina out for -6. probably just stick with Saibari out for a -3, and it also depends on who you're bringing in. If it's Bellingham, go for it. But if it's someone like Alex Baena, it's not worth it, in my opinion. Gordon or Baena? Gordon. Pickford-only goalkeeper? Yeah, as I covered just now, I wouldn't take it for a goalkeeper, but the chances, or maybe my sort of leniency towards that move, would probably increase if you're activating the clean sheet shield now, because that means if your goalkeeper concedes 1, you can still get clean sheet points. So yeah, from those 4 options you say, Preston, I would go for Gordon. Would you get Yamal in for Dembele with a -3? Definitely not. Haaland or Lamine as 12th player? Lamine Yamal. If Doué starts, is he a better pick than Enzo? Yes. The minutes are a bigger concern, but Doué has far more goal-scoring potential. Yeah, exactly that. Saibari is out. Thanks for highlighting it. I talked about this before. I saw it confirmed across multiple sources, and it was quite known from the moment he got injured against Canada that it was a hamstring problem and that he's going to be out for quite a while. Wouldn't Haaland be better as the 12th man than Yamal? Haaland has a better chance of getting points. Haaland is the better fantasy asset, don't get me wrong, but Spain are facing Belgium, and I think Spain are probably the most likely alongside France to go through to the next round. And with Haaland, it's also a question of, well, can he cause England problems? Of course he can. He could definitely score, but I think Norway will be eliminated. Lamine or Bellingham? Bellingham. Should I stick with Haaland or take a -3 to get Kane? Stick with Haaland. Would you go for Borro or Kubarsi? Kubarsi. Boring answer, and if you feel that Borro will start, which I think he will, but I'm not as sure as I would be with Kubarsi, then he could be worth the punt, but my preference is with Kubarsi, who's also only 5 million. Tengo a Fries de Estados Unidos y Halal, Divo y Halal o Fries y Romero. Oh no, ok, te entendí mal. Divo y Halal o Fries y Romero. Y si empieza Halal, que vamos a, bueno, a entrenarnos en una hora, iría por Divo y Halal. Pero es una buena pregunta. En mi opinión, Halal no va a empezar contra Francia y va a ser Chad y Riyad, así que es muy parecido a tu situación. Y lamentablemente, si empieza Halal, no importa, porque para mí Francia va a anotar un gol, por lo menos, probablemente 2 o 3. Yes, it's a good week for the clean sheet shield. Definitely better than last week. Fucking hell, that was horrendous. Would you get Yamal in for Dembele? No, not for a -3 hit. I have the 12th man. Yeah, Abraham, try not to repeat the question. Who should I pick, Haaland or Kane? I'd pick Kane. I prefer him this week. Spain double defense or Cucurella and O'Reilly? Spain double defense. If you have the wildcard still, then check out my wildcard video. I'd highly recommend it, and it will give you everything you need for that chip. Martinez or O'Reilly? Martinez. I think Borro will start, but it's not a guarantee. Bellingham and Baena or Gordon and Olmo? It's quite close, but I think Bellingham would be the preference. This is my team Alfie, and my advice, as I always say, is not to copy. You can use my sort of opinions and also transfers as a guide or reference point, but always go for your own decisions and back your gut. That's how you improve as a fantasy manager. Exactly, Saibari's not playing. I'm not sure where people got the other information from. I think Olmo could be decent, but at 7.7 million, I'm not going to go for him over Doué/Barcola, whoever starts for France, which will likely be Barcola, but we'll find out soon. And for me, Bellingham at 8.3 is definitely worth the extra millions. Probably not, because I've got an injury in Saibari and 3 eliminated players, so those will be the priorities to sell. If I had enough money to upgrade Halal to a French or Spanish defender, I probably would, but it's not really a guarantee. I probably won't be able to. Manzambi is not officially ruled out, but he is a major concern to play against Argentina. Based on the recent reports, I think it's unlikely. Saibari and Midanao, I did cover this question earlier, and as I mentioned before, it depends on which players you're bringing in, and I personally wouldn't really... there aren't many defenders I'd bring in for a hit, with the exception of Spanish and French. If Dean starts, is he worth a -3? I think he could be, yes, but he's no longer eligible for scouting bonus. Bear that in mind. He's gone over 5%. I'll try to avoid repeat questions, by the way, since I've answered quite a few of these already. So let's see what else is new. Switzerland midfielder. While Vargas was benched in the last game, obviously he scored the winning penalty against Colombia. Manzambi is the best overall, but he's a major doubt to start against Argentina. So I think with Switzerland midfielders, those are my favourites, and one might not even start, and the other could be out entirely. So yeah, it's probably Vargas for me. Do you think it's worth Pickford for Maignan for a -3? No, I wouldn't do that. I have all chips left except the 12th man. That's not good. We've got 3 match days remaining, and you've got 4 chips left. That means you can't use all of them. So I've said this from the beginning. When we got to the round of 32, if you had all boosters left, use them. You know, use the qualification booster round of 32 and stuff like that. But all we can do now is look ahead and see what you actually have in control. So no 12th man. I would use the qualification booster now. I mean, it is team dependent because the wildcard is the most powerful chip. Yeah, I'd probably use qualification booster now if you're happy with your squad. Wildcard on match day 7, and I would use the maximum captain on match day 8. So forget about the clean sheet shield. Would you get Yamal in for Dembele? Yeah, you've asked this a lot of times. I've answered it twice now. Thank you very much. With the match already in the quarterfinals, all 8 teams remaining know that the cup is near. Every player will be determined. Well, yeah, of course. There's a lot at stake, but some teams have more quality than others, and obviously some have the mentality or the experience. So it is what it is. I think France, Spain, Argentina, and England are, you know, one of those nations will win the World Cup this year, and I think Spain and France are the most likely. I've got Medina, Manzambi, Saibari, and Barkla all doubtful, and those eliminated. But with Barkla, it's not a big deal because you'll have clarity on that in 40, 50 minutes time. And if he doesn't start, then you could look at selling him potentially. But yeah, definitely focus on eliminated players. Vinicius is a must sell. I'm guessing, what, Vargas? Oh, is that the Colombian goalkeeper? Yeah, you said that. And Dest. I wouldn't take a -9 for all of those necessarily, especially if Barkla starts. So that could already reduce it to a -6. So I'd say probably a -3, maybe a -6, but it's not something I'd like to recommend to most people. And if you have the wildcard in your back pocket, which I doubt, but if someone is in a similar situation, use the wildcard. No, I wouldn't take a -3 hit involving any of the premium forwards. Keep what you have, whether it's Haaland in your team or Harry Kane. Just keep it and don't take the hit. That's my advice. If you have a different opinion, back your gut, but that's the way I see it. I'm not sure. I don't think Medina will start, but I also haven't seen too much in terms of predicted lineups for Argentina. Welcome, Trigger. Good to see you. Best 7 million or less mid. Anthony Gordon might be the one there. Doué or Brahim or Trossard or Baena or McAllister. Not a big fan of any of them, but probably Baena, simply because I think Spain will go through, and I think Belgium's a good fixture for them. Pick one, Hakimi or Koundé. Definitely Koundé. Should I move Dembele to Barkla for a -3? Why? If it lets me buy O'Reilly, Bellingham, Lautaro Martinez and Yamal. I don't think Lautaro Martinez is a certain starter. It could be Alvarez again. He played well when he came on against Egypt, but yeah, the others look really good, especially Bellingham and Yamal. A few question marks about O'Reilly, but I wouldn't sell Dembele to Barkla. No. The only way I'd say go for it is if Dembele's benched, which I think is unlikely. Which defense to go for if activating clean sheet shield? Spain and France should be the priorities anyway, and I'd say England would be probably next. I think they'll concede once to Norway, so that will obviously help you a lot with the clean sheet shield, if I'm correct about that. Possibly Argentina. Like, I'd still have 1, maybe 2, but definitely not a triple up in Argentina defensively. I think that's way too much. I've been asked a lot about Medina. I don't think he's going to start. No, my team is not locked in, mate. I mean, I've got a lot of eliminated players, as you can see. I've got an injury inside Bari. Halal probably won't start. I always wait until the lineups and then make my final transfers, but just don't copy. I mean, I'm not even saying that for myself. I'm saying it for your sake. Should I go with Olmo and Belgian defender or De Ketelaere and Spanish defender? I'd rather go for De Ketelaere and a Spanish defender, but it is counterintuitive either way. Gordon or De Ketelaere? I already have Bellingham and Kane, but no Belgian player. Still Gordon for me. Replace Kane with Oyarzabal? I wouldn't do that. Could Oyarzabal do really well? Absolutely, but so could Harry Kane, who is a contender for the Golden Boot, so I wouldn't sell him. Thoughts on Enzo Fernandez? I already have Dembele and Jude. Not a great fantasy asset, and I love Enzo Fernandez as a player for Argentina, but that was his first goal and attack and return of the tournament against Egypt. A fantastic header. He definitely has that in his locker, but I wouldn't buy Enzo Fernandez necessarily. My favourite France defender is probably Saliba now, with Luca Dean going above the 5% threshold, so I think the main appeal of Luca Dean is already wiped out, if you will. Well, my favourite Norway midfielder is Odegaard, but obviously he's not cheap. He's 7.7 million. What I'd probably say here is Nusa. I think he's the best Norway midfielder. He qualifies for the scouting bonus with 2.4% ownership, and he costs 6.1 million. So go for Nusa if you want that cheap Norway midfielder. That's a very good shout, by the way. I might even go for something like that myself instead of Alex Baena. Best team for a cheap fifth midfielder, 1 week punt, Norway, Switzerland, or Belgium? Probably Norway, to be fair. So I'd say Nusa would be my favourite now. Then I'd say De Ketelaere. If Manzambi was fully fit and available, then that would be a very interesting one. I could see him causing a lot of problems. But based on the current news, I'd say Nusa. Is it too risky going with 5 Spain, 5 France, 1 England, and 3 Argentinian? It is risky, and obviously those with the wildcard could definitely go for an approach like that because you have the insurance policy of being bailed out by the wildcard on match day 7. But I'll be honest with you, I think Spain and France will go through. So if one of them were to get knocked out, you're in a bit of trouble since you only have 5 free transfers for the next round to deal with that. But ultimately, as long as you've got a starting 11, you're good. But you obviously want as many players as possible to make substitutions and make use of that window. But by the time we get to match day 7 and 8, there's only 2 matches and you can only make substitutions once and change the captaincy once, which is why I recommend the maximum captainship for that sort of window. But I think that balance is pretty reasonable, to be fair. Thanks for the super chat, Rohits. Always good to see you. Hey, mate, which is the best combo, Martinez and Gubarsi or Simeone and Romero? Oh, sorry, that's Simon, right? Yeah, Unai Simon and Romero or Mañan and Gubarsi? Got Lautaro Martinez, Cucurella, and no French defender, or triple Spanish defense? I'll be honest with you, my favourite from what you've posed would be Mañan and Gubarsi because you get that French defensive coverage. France are the favourites to win the World Cup. And yeah, also you're getting another Spanish defender and they've got the best defensive record in this tournament. No goals conceded. So yeah, I think that's the way I'd go about it. ¿Cómo viviste el partido de Argentina contra Egipto? Es medio raro porque, bueno, te digo la verdad, no sé cómo me pasó. Estaba tan cansado que perdí que los primeros 15, 17 minutos y me despertó un pelotudo que estaba gritando el gol de Egipto. No sé si era inglés o no sé qué, pero me despertó. Puse el televisor y tenía la sensación que Argentina estaba perdiendo y, bueno, vi el resultado. Después Messi, bueno, antes que tome el penal, mi televisor se desconecta y yo digo, la puta que te parió, está mufado. Y entonces no tenía una buena sensación del penal. Lo erró. Pero no sé por qué. Vi las chances que tuvimos en el primer tiempo. Estábamos jugando mejor que Egipto y yo pensé, mira, si jugamos así en el segundo tiempo vamos a ganar. Pero cuando hacen el segundo gol, lo anulan y para mí estaba bien el árbitro francés. Y después hacen el gol de nuevo, así que 2-0 Egipto. Bueno, yo estaba pensando, no podemos perder hoy. No puede ser el último partido de Messi que está jugando re mal. Y bueno, al final, que 75 minutos, sí, obviamente hay dudas, pero todavía tenía la sensación que si hacemos un gol, podemos revertir esto. Y cuando hace el gol Romero, ya tenía esa confianza que vamos a ganarlo. Y bueno, cuando hace el gol Messi es un desahogo y ya de ahí sabía que íbamos a ganar. Pero obviamente hay, bueno, hay mucha gente ahora que tiene esa campaña contra Argentina y Messi. Pero, tío, la verdad me encanta. Cuando muchos odian a tu equipo y ganan, es una sensación muy linda. Lo tengo con Arsenal también y te hace querer ganar más todavía. Así que, bueno, ganamos el último mundial y 4 trofeos seguidos, pero yo quiero otro más y si no pasa, bueno, así es el fútbol, pero para mí la gente, bueno, son medio hipócritas, digamos eso, no quieren justicia, lo que quieren es que las decisiones van contra Argentina y a favor para los equipos que juegan contra Argentina, pero bueno, así es la vida. What are you looking to do with your team, Dylan? What I'm looking to do? Sell Vinicius Jr. for sure. I'm buying Bellingham. I think, well, Serginho Dest is going to be sold. The same goes for all my eliminated players, which also involves Daniel Munoz. So I'll likely buy 2 midfielders and 2 defenders. And the other transfer would be Saibari out because he's not going to play against France. And we're going to find that out very soon. Saibari's out of the game. Come on, England, says Banjo. Leo Moss, thank you very much. Olmo and Spanish defender, or De Ketelaere and Spanish defender. I covered that already, mate. Thank you very much. I'd go for the Spanish defender. Not a big fan of that sort of mix. Maybe consider Nusa instead of De Ketelaere. O'Reilly and Upamecano, or Pedro Porro and Molina. I would go for... I'm not sure what your structure is. Do you have Spanish defenders already? Do you have French already as well? Let me know, because I think that would give me a lot of insight to give you a definitive answer. But based on what you're just telling me, I probably prefer O'Reilly and Upamecano. But you definitely need a Spanish defender. They have the best defense in this tournament by some distance. I guess Pero is your filler word to think what you're going to say next. Yeah, I don't really have that in English, to be honest. I have to think a little bit more when I speak in Spanish, and I sometimes translate what I would say in English to Spanish, so it doesn't always flow naturally, but it's good enough, I guess. Muller Wolf from Norway, Medina or Mechele? Probably Wolf by default, because I don't think Medina will start. And Mechele against Spain. Brother, what's that? What's that, brother? I've played Euro 24, Champions League Fantasy. Isn't the World Cup the worst fantasy? There's some good things about it, to be fair, but I do prefer the UCL fantasy system, to be honest. It's very consistent. There aren't too many like question marks about the points, and obviously there are a lot of glitches in the World Cup game, but I do like some of the ideas. So just to have a completely unbiased view on things, I do like the extra points for shots on target, for big chances created, although there's always that confusion about, is it key passes or big chances created? Now we know it's the latter. Tackle points as well for midfielders. I think there should be something similar for defenders as well, but yeah, overall I do like World Cup Fantasy. In spite of all its flaws, I played the last one in Qatar and also the Club World Cup last year, and I thoroughly enjoy it, to be honest, even though my best performances come in UCL Fantasy, as you've probably seen by now. Replace Kane with Oyarzabal or just keep Kane? Yeah, just keep Kane. I've said this many times now at this point. I don't think Halal will start, but is it worth a hit? Only if I can afford a French or Spanish defender, which I don't think is possible if I also want to buy in Bellingham. There's a lot of questions coming in, by the way. Smash the like if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and also hype this video on the YouTube app, whether you're on the, on your browser, on the laptop, tablet, phone, you name it, and share this with those that love UCL Fantasy, FPL, and the World Cup. I'm not sure if Tagliafico or Medina start. I mean, that's obviously the question for left back. My current thinking is that will be Tagliafico. 12-man chip activated between Haaland. I'm guessing Yamal's the other one. Yamal's my preference, by the way. Let's go for some new ones. Bayana in for Manzambi, but for a -3. Is it worth it? I'm not entirely sure. If I knew 100% guaranteed that Bayana starts, then I'd probably take the punt, but I am leaning towards something different like Nusa, actually, as a budget midfielder. Yamal or Bayana? Definitely Yamal. I can understand most of your Spanish, and it's been 20 years since I really spoke it for score. Well, let me know what you think of what I said. A lot of English people would disagree with what I said, but I couldn't care. To be fair, I don't care. Best defenders this week. As many French and Spanish as you can. So Cucurella, Cubarsí, Saliba, maybe Upamecano. It could be Koundé or Luka Dean, to be fair. But yeah, I think that's probably the best ones. And after that, I'd probably have one Argentinian like Lisandro Martinez and maybe one English, maybe. But yeah, definitely French and Spanish with one Argentinian. That's my preference. I put Gordon in. What's that? Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm probably not going to go for Gordon unless I do something a bit different, which means, yeah, no Bellingham. I miss ball recoveries. Yeah, so do I. I do like them. What do you think of Nusa? Probably my favourite at 6.1 million and below. I could see Norway scoring, and if it's not Erling Haaland, I think Nusa's the next most likely. Baena versus Diaz, Tagliafico versus Medina. Molina. Bro, I can't even speak English or Spanish. Also, Trossard worth a go. If you want one Belgian attacker, sure. I think it's between Trossard or De Ketelaere, but against Spain, I'd rather go for something else. I'd go for Baena simply because I think Spain will go through and Morocco won't, and I don't think Diaz will get anything against France. Tagliafico or Molina, I think Tagliafico is probably the more likely. I could be wrong about this, by the way, and I don't have information or any sort of predicted lineups to sort of fall back on. I'll have a look, though, because a lot of people are asking me about Medina. Is he going to start? Should I go for Tagliafico or Molina? So a lot of questions about the Argentinian defence. We're not even talking about how bad they've been recently. So let's see what people are saying. And if there are any reliable sources. I don't think so. Yeah, with Argentina, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one. Well, I'll look at two predicted lineups, I guess. So one has Molina and Medina starting. Couldn't really tell you if that's going to happen. Lisandro Martinez, Romero, obviously Dibu in goal, Paredes, Enzo Fernandez, McAllister, the ball, Messi, Lautaro. It could be that. Not guaranteed. What else do we have? Another one here has Dibu, Tagliafico, Martinez, Romero, Molina, Paredes, De Paul, McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, Alvarez, and Messi. So this lineup I just read out is slightly different in two ways. So this one has Tagliafico over Medina and Alvarez over Lautaro, which are two of the biggest points of contention in that lineup alongside the right back spot, which, look, Molina's first choice, but I would not be surprised if Montiel got the nod. Hey Dylan, I lost out on Munoz's 7 points last match day. All my players got minimum 7 other than my mids, but I had to keep minimum 3 midfielders in my starting lineup. Yeah, I mean, you have to have an eligible formation, so it is what it is, right? I mean, I started Manzambi like an idiot and lost out on the points I gained from Messi captain, so it is what it is. Clean sheet max captain and qualification boost. Qualification boost this week, Zulu. Clean sheet shield next week, and maximum captain match day 8. I think you're sorted. I prefer Luka Dean over Borro if he starts, but Spain have the better defence, to be fair. And it also depends on which players you've got already. So if you've got Unai Simon or Magnan, that could have a big influence, but I'd definitely rather have more Spanish defence if possible. What do you think about the 48-team system compared to 32 so far? I definitely don't want more than 48, to be honest, and I get it. You know, people will point towards Cape Verde and stories like that, and that's the sort of beauty of the 48-nation format. So I get the appeal from that perspective, but it's not always a guarantee that you're going to get that. You know, in the next World Cup, we could see 7-0s and stuff like that. I mean, we did see Germany, Curaçao on match day 1, of course, but yeah, I think 48 is looking promising at the moment. It's still, I'd rather wait until the end of the tournament and reflect a little bit more to sort of tell you if I prefer 48 or 32 teams, but I definitely wouldn't have more than that. I think 32 to 48 is the right balance. I think 64 and more would just be overkill. I didn't realize once I make the 4 transfers, I can't change again without getting minus points. Yeah, that's always the case in any fantasy football game I cover. And obviously we're going to get the French and Moroccan lineups now, so hopefully you got a bit of luck on your side there, so you're not forced into a hit necessarily. Thank you there, Nave. Yamal or Bellingham? Probably Bellingham. Can we make an argument for max captain this week? But that's the thing, though. There are still more windows this week. Like you said, 4. I'd rather use the maximum captain on 7 or 8, where you can only switch the captaincy once, so the margin for error is much smaller, and it's more difficult to predict the semi-finals and final. I still think there are 4 clear favourites right now in Argentina, France, Spain, and England to go through. I'm not saying they're all going to go through, but when you have France versus Spain, that's a really tough call, in my opinion. Probably the toughest call of the tournament. Then you've also got, if it happens to be this way, England, Argentina. That's also a bit 50-50 at the moment. So, yeah, I'd rather use the maximum captain on 7 or 8. Molina at 4.9. He's not 4.9. He's cheaper than that. But I can't really say he's a guarantee to start, to be honest. Yeah, Manzambi is a doubt to play against Argentina. I'm not saying he's absolutely ruled out. I've said this many times in the stream. But yeah, I don't think he's going to start against Argentina based on what I've seen. But we haven't got any official confirmation yet. Yeah, Oyarzabal is a really promising one, but I'd probably go for Yamal. Definitely a Spanish attacker over Haaland for me. Is it okay to have Martinez and Crepo as goalkeepers? Not ideal, but so be it. Once you get to match day 7, though, you definitely would want a goalkeeper, in my opinion. So one of Unai Simon or Magnan. If you can do it now for free, I'd recommend buying one of them in. No, Lisandro Martinez, but Baena. Or is that Lautaro Martinez? Either way, yeah, Baena I'm less sure about now. Hey Dylan, I still have a super captain and 12th player. I'd rather use maximum captain later, so use the 12th player now. Baena could be okay. I'm not so sure. I think with Spain, it's very difficult to predict their midfield, even with Yamal. Looking for a mid for 5.1 or less. Berg, any ideas? Probably the best of a bad bunch. There's not really much else I can really recommend you. You're not going to find any midfielders that cheap from Argentina, Spain, England, or France. From Switzerland, possible. Obviously, a bit more needed for De Ketelaere. Nusa 6.1 million. That's the preference for me, but yeah, I'll be honest with you. Probably Berg. He can give you some tackle points at least. Clean sheet this week or next week? Probably this week, but I wasted it last time. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, ultimately, yeah, he's not going to qualify for the scouting bonus. FPL and UCL Fantasy both allow the 5-2-3 formation, but this game doesn't, which makes it complicated if all your defenders and forwards return at once. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a little bit different there. Just going to double check that for you. Obviously, I did cover this in my How to Play World Cup Fantasy Guide, but I've never had this issue myself. I've never had to play a 5-2-3 in this game. 5-2-3. Yeah, that's strange. You can't use the 5-2-3 formation in this. That is true. You can use a 5-4-1 or 5-3-2, but not a 5-2-3. It's a bit strange. Smash the like, as Safir says. Thank you very much. Am I the only one with 1 chip left? No. I'm also in the same boat as you. Upamecano or Saliba? Probably Saliba. I reckon Spain concede 1 to either Trossard or Lukaku. Yeah, I think Spain can concede, but that's where the clean sheet shield could actually come in handy for once. Bloody stupid chip. What the hell? Bloody VPN, piss off, you twat. Anyway, yeah, going back to this. What I'm going to do now is show you some team selection graphics from my video yesterday. So, this is how I did on Matchday 5, and yes, I activated the clean sheet shield. It was absolutely useless. I gained 0 points from that boost up, but For those using it now, I think you're going to gain quite a lot of points, to be fair. So that's going to be a nice swing against me there. Obviously, a few clean sheets for the likes of Halal, Munoz, and Cucurella. None for both Martinez's from the Argentina side of things. The same goes for England. Obviously, Jordan Pickford on my bench. And the other one was Serginho Dest, who shipped in 4 against Belgium. And he was hooked off at halftime. Manzambi didn't play whatsoever. That was a mistake on my part to actually play him in. Both Elise and Dembele blanked against Paraguay. Vinicius didn't get a single goal contribution in the knockouts. But Lionel Messi delivers time after time again with a goal and assist. He is not only the leading goal scorer in World Cup history, but also the leading assister with 9. Mbappe got another goal from the penalty spot this time round after a bit of a quiet game. And Harry Kane scored a penalty himself and got an assist in a classic 3-2 win for England. We had plenty of classics in the World Cup in a round of 16, but in the end, it was a red arrow for me for the first time in World Cup fantasy this year. So Munoz to Saliba is still very likely for me. I want to have French defensive coverage and probably another one from Spain. I've got Cucurella in my side already, but buying Cubarsí for Dest is definitely on the agenda. So 2 defender transfers and then 2 in the midfield. But instead of Baena, what I might consider here instead is going for Nusa from Norway at 6.1 million. The other transfer could be Vinicius Jr. to Jude Bellingham, who is a suspension risk. If he's booked on matchday 6, he will miss the semi-final. The same goes for Elise. So Pickford would start in goal against Norway, and a back 4 of Cucurella, Cubarsí, Saliba, and Halal, who I don't think will start. And we're going to find out in 20 minutes how Morocco and France will go in terms of their starting 11. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. A midfield 4 of potentially Baena, but this could be Nusa instead to have that Norway midfield coverage. I think the other alternative is De Ketelaere to face my Spanish defenders. Jude Bellingham, and then 2 French midfielders in Elise and Ousmane Dembele in that early kickoff, with Harry Kane and Mbappe up front. And you might be thinking, what? Messi on the bench? That's because he plays towards the end of the match day. So what you want to do is start your players who feature first, and those from the Argentina and Switzerland game, have them on your bench. And yes, I am well aware that Manzambi is still in my squad after making those moves, but I wouldn't have that much money in the bank. If I had enough to do Manzambi to, let's say, yeah, probably I'd say Nusa. Maybe I'll do it for a -3 here. It's not exactly ideal. If we're talking about enough money to get Doué or Barcola, depending on who starts for France tonight, then yeah, I'd 100% do it for a -3 hit from Manzambi, even Gordon, but money is still a big issue here since I've got 3 big hits up front, and I've obviously got Elise, Dembele and Bellingham, who are quite expensive in their own right, but I've got Emi Martinez and Lisandro against Switzerland there, and obviously Lionel Messi to complete my Argentina triple up. Manzambi is probably not going to start against the reigning World Cup champions, but there is still an outside hope there for Switzerland, and that would be a massive boost there for them. So that's my current squad. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. Mbappe is going to be my first captain. If you want to go a little bit different, I don't necessarily mind it so much because it's the first captaincy window out of the 4 available. So if it doesn't work now, you can then switch to a Spanish or Belgian player, then go to an English or Norwegian player, and then finally either an Argentinian or Swiss. And I think Elise or Dembele could be solid choices for the captaincy, and not differential per se, but as a captaincy option, they would be definitely lower in terms of effective ownership compared to Kylian Mbappe. So that wraps things up from that perspective. And if you haven't done so already, then join my World Cup Fantasy Mini League, and all your points from Matchday 1 will count. So there is no excuse really to not join one of the biggest World Cup Fantasy Mini Leagues in the world. And what I want to show you is the threshold for this. So Anthony Gordon is no longer bonus eligible. This website tracks the ownership figures, and it was very useful on Matchday 1 in particular. Luca Dean is no longer bonus eligible, and also Alex Baena. What could be interesting is if Theo Hernandez starts for France, which I don't think will happen, but if that's the case, that could be your differential route into that French backline. Having said that, also thinking about future rounds, if France were to go through, I think Saliba or Upamecano is probably your best bet at 5.3 million. For 0.1 more, you can buy Koundé, which is absolutely fine to be fair. But yeah, you're going to get rotations from the left-hand side, whether it's Barkla or Desiree Doué, and also Luca Dean versus Theo Hernandez. But I think Dean is first choice. What I also have for you here are my predictions for the quarterfinals. I've gone for France 2, Morocco 1. I might change it to 3-1 depending on the lineups. Spain 1, Belgium 0. Norway 1, England 2. And Argentina 2, Switzerland 1. I think a lot of teams will concede just one goal. And that's going to make the use of the clean sheet shield last week very, very annoying from my perspective. In terms of the bracket, I mean, I got a few things wrong, like Germany beating Paraguay and the Netherlands beating Morocco. But yeah, I've put France to reach the semi-finals to face Spain. And I put Spain, actually, to reach the World Cup final. And from the other side of the draw, England versus Argentina. And I've put Argentina to win the whole thing. I mean, that's what I want. Will it happen? I bloody well hope so. But yeah, we've already had a lot of success. And yeah, it's quite difficult to maintain that for so many years. The best national team this decade by some distance. But it is what it is. Let's see what happens this time round. So once we get the lineups for France versus Morocco, I will be covering it. And keep your eyes peeled for that one. It should be a matter of 10 to 20 minutes before we get that information. So I'm going back to my World Cup fantasy team, and then I'll show you a few different transfer plans. But obviously I discussed that in the team selection portion of this stream and in my videos yesterday. I don't think that's a guarantee easy. I think there are some concerns about that. I prefer 48 teams, but 64 is a bit much. Yeah, exactly. There are still talks, but it's not guaranteed. I hope that isn't the case. It'd be way too much. Hit the like button and subscribe, people, to thank Dylan for this great stream. Much appreciated, mate. Thank you. Is Nusa nailed, though? I want to say he's nailed on, but he is a regular starter, yes. He's not exactly a Erling Haaland. Oh, wow. Portuguese rest for the Argentina game, by the way. Are we going to have a bit of an outcry for that? Yeah? No? Okay, interesting. Yeah, to be honest with you, I think Nusa starts most games for Norway, and I haven't seen any predicted lineup that doesn't have him in there, to be quite honest with you. But, yeah, as a budget midfielder, you're not exactly spoilt for choice. Alex Baena, De Ketelaere, Nusa at 6.1 and below, those are probably the standouts for me. Yeah, Nusa was very good in the World Cup qualifiers. I mean, in the last 10 games, he's got 2 goals for club and country. It's not exactly great, but I do like him as a player. Which players are close to suspension? I did read this out in both my videos yesterday. What I'll do now is actually just bring up the tweet and show you on screen. So give me a second. Okay, I've got the list here. Okay, let's go here to the suspension watch list. So 17 players. Issa Diop, Achraf Hakimi, Halal, El Kanous, Bellingham, Nico Riley, Mark Gay, and Declan Rice. Xhaka, Sakaria, Miro Muhim, Ferran Torres, Antonio Nusa. So that would be a potential concern about bringing him in. And Mechele with Gonzalo Montiel. So those are the 17 players you run the risk of missing Matchday 7 through suspension. One more booking would do the trick. What if Morocco are going to win and proceed to the semi-finals? I don't mind. Argentina is going to win this World Cup. That's part, I'm aware of it. I wouldn't say it's a guarantee, to be honest, especially with with Portuguese referees. Hey there. Good to see you, Afonso. Current stats for Manzambi and Medina. Manzambi is a doubt to play against Argentina. I don't think he'll be in the lineup, but that's based on the information I've got at the moment. With Medina, it's maybe 50-50. I'm not sure about either Argentinian fullback, whether it's Molina or Montiel, or Medina versus Tagliafico. I'd rather just go for Dibu in goal, or one of Romero/Lisandro, but I wouldn't triple up on Argentina defensively. Moroccan upset on the way. That'd be great. If I play my wild card, will I still get the additional transfers next round? You'll just have the same as everyone else, which is 5. You can't carry over transfers in the knockout stages either, which you could do in, well, match day 2 and 3. Brahim Diaz or Nusa or any other mid around 6.4. If Diaz wasn't playing France, I'd probably go for him. And look, he's not a bad pick. If you are maybe fancying a Moroccan upset, I think Diaz is a decent one, but I still think Nusa. If Morocco win, I'm going to party. Well, yeah, because it gives everyone else like a real belief that they can go on and win this tournament, but I still think Spain might be the strongest team overall. I'm not going to lie to you. Should I take a -3 to bring Gordon for an eliminated player? I'd be open to that, yeah. Dembele or Elise? Maybe Dembele for this one. Double Argentina or double French defense? French. I hope this game will go to extra time. That'd be good. I mean, France, I want to say we're lucky against Paraguay, but obviously they won for a penalty, so they were a bit rattled in that game. That's the issue of buying Nusa. If Bellingham gets a yellow card, you're left with 2 players to replace. Exactly that. And either way, it's not like Nusa's have... It's not like he's got incredible form to really justify that sort of pick. So, yeah, that's the sort of big downside to buying Antonio Nusa. Let me see if I can see the lineups already. Not yet. But it should be a matter of minutes here. Yeah, I don't think they're out yet still. Yeah, it's got to wait a little bit more for that one. Thank you on your first answer. Who is the best 12th player to use? I have Mbappe, Messi, and Oyarzabal up front. I'd be tempted by Kane, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd probably go for Harry Kane. Lisandro or Romero if money is no object. There's not much in it. Romero is a bigger threat from set pieces overall. We saw that against Cape Verde, forcing the own goal, and obviously the first one against Egypt. But I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I think Romero's also a bit more of an injury risk. I'm going to say Romero, but it's close. Rice or Anderson? Rice. I got Tagliafico in last match day. He got subbed before Argentina conceded the second goal, and he kept his penalty earned points even though Messi missed it. So the clean sheet shield did keep Tagliafico's 9 points. Lucky you. I couldn't really say the same thing there. Forget qualifiers. Let's have a World Cup with the countries. 4-month-long tournament. I'm trying to watch India versus Tuvalu. Papua New Guinea versus Vatican City. I'm sorry, but 48 teams is probably the one. Between France and Argentina or Spain, this 3 team is going to win the World Cup. I agree. I mean, you can't discount England, to be honest, because they've got a good manager and they've got the likes of Harry Kane in their team, Declan Rice, and some top players like Bellingham. So, yeah, it's between those 4 nations for me. I think the rest have a chance, but it'd be much slimmer compared to the others. It's 20 players at risk of suspension, not 17. Barkla also at risk for France, says Brunchy Cat. Food World Cup, frog legs versus Tajine. Yeah, look, for some of them, I'm not well versed in their cuisine, so I'd need to do research. But yeah, if it was Argentina, Switzerland, I mean, I love Swiss chocolate, I guess, but it's going to be Argentina. Spain, Belgian. Belgian chocolate is also very good, but yeah, overall, I mean, I don't even know, to be fair. French or Moroccan? Probably French, and then England, Norway. Fish and chips, England. That's probably what I'd say. Oyarzabal, Ruben Vargas, and Hakimi or Kane, De Ketelaere, and Upamecano with a -6 hit. If it's the first 3 without a hit, then I'd stick with the first 3. As much as I like Harry Kane. Borra or Kubarsi? It probably just Kubarsi simply because there's a chance Llorente starts either this game or the next one. Is it better to use qualification bonus chip this quarterfinal than semi-final? We can predict France, Spain, Argentina, England, Norway advance to the next stage. then must pick France, Spain, Argentina, Norway, England. Yeah, definitely use the qualification booster now, 100%. It gets more difficult the deeper you go into the competition. So, yeah, using it in the round of 32 was the best choice. I'm very happy that I did that, and I think it was quite obvious, but yeah, I can't say the same thing about the clean sheet shield. Hi, I have clean sheet shield. Do I use it now or maximum captain? You don't necessarily have to use either one this week, but I would use the clean sheet shield now and maximum captain on 7 or 8. Should I take a -3 to bring Gordon for eliminate player? I covered that already. I said yes, but it's kind of up in the air. Yeah, lineup's out. Thank you. I'll cover that soon. Not sure about that one, Banjo. We'll wait and see. Best winning team for 105 million? Check out my wildcard video. England is chicken tikka masala. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's pretty good. Barkley's missing from that suspension list, according to the BBC. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not sure why it doesn't have all of them. Let's go for the lineups then, since they are already out. There, Barkley should start, right? Mañana in goal, Luka Dean, Upamecano, Koundé, Saliba, Kone, Rabiot, Dembele, Mbappe, Elise, and Doué. So forget what I just said. Barkley is on the bench. Let's see. Let's go for the Moroccan team. Bono, Hakimi, Mazraoui, Issa Diop, and there you go, Salah Eddin. So no Halal, which I'm not surprised about. Bouadi, Talbi, Unahi, El Kanous, Elanui, and Brahim Diaz. So yeah, not ideal, I guess, but not Barkley. Desiree Doué could be interesting here. I'm going to go to the transfer section and play around with this a little bit, but obviously I've already got Dembele and Elise. So Bellingham in. Let's get Saibari out. This is where I could bring in one of Baena, Diaz. Yeah, maybe Baena, De Ketelare, Nusa. I'll leave that one open for now, but definitely I want some Spanish and French defensive coverage. So maybe Saliba and Kubarsi for me. $7.3 million for a midfielder. I could go for Gordon, but that would mean double-ups in French and English midfields with Manzambi, who will likely miss out. But let's see what I could do. Maybe I could get rid of Manzambi for Alex Baena. That could work quite well. But yeah, 0.1 over. That's where I could do Saliba to Luka Dean to make this work. Obviously, I've still got Halal there as well, but he is the enabler here, so it doesn't really make much sense to sell him. I think the alternative here, also thinking about the future round, and I think France will go through, is Brahim Diaz. Would I have enough money? I mean, I could buy Wolf, but is it worth a hit? I don't think so. Nah. -6 for this. If it was a -3, then maybe, but nah, that's just way too much. So, yeah, no need to force it, in my opinion. Yeah, I think just keep allow. -3. Not too bad. So I just put a poll out. Make sure to vote, and I'm going to go through the questions here. Bring in Doué or Gordon? Doué. Bin Barkla. Yeah. By the way, let me know if there are any issues of any kind, whether it's audio or stuff like that, but hopefully it's all working well. I'm not entirely sure if Baena starts, to be honest. So that's why I'm less keen on him than I was in my team selection video. I really want Bellingham, though. I'm not going to lie to you. But I want the Spanish and French defenders. So if I could buy Doué, I mean, yeah, for Bellingham it would make sense, but that would mean 4 French attackers. So I'm probably going to get Bellingham in. I think this is how I'm going to line up then, but then it just comes down to my Manzambi replacement, or if I just keep him and Halal in my team and just have 13 players instead of 14, but I think I might take my first hit of the tournament. Yes, Ibari is a huge miss, but we knew this from before. It was known from a very early stage that he had a hamstring injury and that he will probably miss the rest of the tournament, and the official confirmation that he's going to miss the French or the France game was already, yeah, in place and confirmed hours before. Keep Diaz, trust me. Maybe it's just I think France could keep a clean sheet here. Unahi or Brahim Diaz? Brahim Diaz. Doué, Enzo, Gordon, or Baena? Doué. Should the 12th man chip be used this swim round? Yes. I think with that and the qualification booster, use it as early as possible. Best Belgian midfielder with the highest chance of a return? Decatelare. It's between him and Trossard for me. I'd probably go for Decatelare. Unahi, Brahim, or Nusa? I might lean towards Nusa overall, but he is a suspension risk, and look, I think Morocco have an even lower chance of going through, but I wouldn't say Norway's is particularly high either. Gordon, Trossard, Bellingham, Dembele, Bayern, any thoughts? It's a good midfield, but obviously there's no Yamal, no Elise. You can't have them all, but it's a pretty decent setup. My team is Unai Simon, Martinez in goal. That's fine for now. I think that's pretty reasonable. I can't really give you a predicted Argentina defense because I think both fullbacks are up in the air, as they have been for a while now, but Romero and Lisandro will start. I'd go for one of them. At left back, I currently think it'll be Tagliafico, but that could be Medina for sure. On the right, I personally think Montiel could start over Molina. That's my current thinking. I could be wrong, so don't hold me to that prediction. It's just literally my gut feeling, which could be off the mark, but if I can get any information before the deadline, I will provide it. Olmo and Enzo, or Jude and Nusa / Baena. Why is it translating it to children? YouTube is so weird. I would probably say Jude and one of Nusa or Baena. Yeah, is Diaz playing up front? I think he is, you know. I think he is. Yeah, I think he is. Unahi just behind him. Talbi on the wing with El Canus. This stat might surprise you, by the way, but I'm going to bring it up on screen. So these are the best expected goal differences at the World Cup. Spain are top with 8.3, Argentina just behind with 7.9, and France make up the podium with England in 4th, Switzerland 5th, Belgium and Morocco are quite neck and neck with Switzerland, to be fair, and Norway are barely surviving there, and they actually outperform France when it comes to expected goals. I think only a couple of nations like Canada, Colombia, Argentina, and Spain have won all their games in terms of expected goal difference. But yeah, that's just one stat. It doesn't mean that much in general, to be fair. Obviously, Spain have 4 wins and a draw in this tournament. France and Argentina both have 5 wins out of 5. So we'll see what ends up happening. But just a little, yeah, information for you. A bit more data, if you like that sort of thing. But I'm going to go to my transfer plans again. And I'm going to end this poll. I think it's quite one-sided. So would you sell Manzambi for a -3 hit? It has gone a bit closer now, to be fair. 60% in favour of yes. So let's see what you lot think. So let's put the names. Decatelare will be one of them. And remember, after the deadline is closed, I'll be gifting 5 memberships for an entire month. So stay tuned for that, and you have a chance of winning it. So, Nusa. Let's put Baena. I could go for Mikel Merino, to be fair. I don't mind that so much, even though he's probably not going to start. Yeah, not enough money for Olmo for me. So yeah, probably Baena or Merino. Yeah. $6.5. I can't even afford Trossard with the other moves unless I do Saliba to Dean, which could be decent, but I've got double Spanish defense currently planned. So, yeah, not entirely sure about that one. So, yeah, I'll stick with those, I think. Due or Gordon? Due. I said this a few times now. High XG midfielder from Argentina. Doesn't exist, but Enzo Fernandez is my favourite. True, he does have high scoring chances, but he's also 0.5 million more expensive, and there are still some concerns about him starting every single game. Also, Barry gets subbed in at like 70 minutes. Pretty sure he's not in the squad, mate. Let's go through the benches for France and Morocco. I went for the lineups already. But yeah. So, Sabari, is he on the bench? Yeah, but he's not ready to start, is he? I'm not sure about that one. I'm going to have a look at that. So yeah, good spot there. I'm not sure. I mean, if they're chasing a goal, if they absolutely need it, then it would make sense, obviously, but... Yeah, all the reports said that he's going to miss the game, so I think he's not actually on the bench, technically. Yeah, no. That caught me off guard, but no. Saibari's not going to play. So just a bit of a recap as well. So the players who are confirmed out include Tchouameni, Yeremy Pino, Jordan Henderson, Kwanzaa, who's suspended for 2 games, and Onana, who suffered an ACL injury. The doubtful players include Declan Rice, Reece James, Abisha, Yaquez, Manzambi, Widmer, Saibari, who is now officially ruled out, Strand Larson due to illness, and Nico Williams. So hopefully that also helps you as well. And let's go back to the transfer section. Obviously, we covered the French and Moroccan lineups. Desiree Doué starts over Barkla. That is the big news. Obviously, no Halal in the starting 11, but I'll probably keep him instead of taking another hit. Baena is winning this poll quite comfortably, 60%. Not sure if he's the best one, though, but I am quite limited with my options here, unless I went for something a little bit different. If I did Bellingham to Gordon, then things would look maybe a little bit better. I could do something like Gordon in, and then Doué. I mean, it's not too bad, is it? It looks pretty decent. So yeah, the only problem with that is quadruple French attack. So let's see what you lot think about that one. And then after, I want to see your polls. So let me know. Suspension risk for Nusa, not really an issue of treating him as a 1-week punt if you expect England to win. Yeah, that is true. And ultimately, just because they have a suspension risk, it doesn't mean they're going to miss the next game anyway. They could still go through unscathed, especially with Elise. I think Bellingham might be the most likely to get booked, to be fair, but we'll wait and see. He might be a bit more cautious than he usually is. So let's put Gordon and Doué, and the other one is Bellingham, and let's put Baena. So make sure to vote in that poll. I'm going to whiz through some more questions. I've answered so many already, so drop a like, subscribe. We are closing in on 40,000 subscribers. A big thank you to the community for all the support you've shown to the channel. And yeah, I think those aren't... I've got a lot of tabs open for the predicted lineups, but I have gone for a few of them already, and none of them are necessarily gospel there. Manzambi isn't ruled out, but neither is he declared fit, so the current reports suggest he will not start against Argentina, and he might miss the game entirely. Why keeping Diaz and Saliba both? Isn't this a contradiction? I didn't say I'm buying Diaz for sure. This is alternative transfer plans. Is wildcard a good option at this time? Yes, but it's team dependent. Some people might not need to make more than 4 transfers, but if you feel that's the case, then definitely use it now. Cheers, wanted to make sure if I take the -3 for Saibari. No worries, Miguel. But yeah, just to confirm, Saibari might be on the bench on the website, but he is not going to play. He's been officially ruled out. Doué or Gordon, Yamal or Dembele? Doué and Dembele. Dylan, ¿se podría ver los probable lineups de todos los partidos? Y te la verdad, estoy viendo distintas páginas, digamos, y no son totalmente confiables, así que es solo una guía y no se puede como confiar en eso, en mi opinión. Olmo and Doué versus Yamal and Baena. I would lean towards Olmo and Doué. What do you think about Kane, Messi, Mbappe, Elise, Bellingham, Dembele, Yamal, Martinez, Cucurella, Gay, Halal, and Martinez? I mean, the attack looks incredible, but obviously the defense has a few concerns. Mark Gay was doing individual training yesterday, so something to look at. Halal's not starting for Morocco tonight. That leaves me with 3 eliminated players, or replace these 3 players. Well, ideally, I would replace at least one of them. You don't have to replace all of them, though. But, yeah, if you have 4 free transfers, focus on removing your eliminated players for sure. Baena or Brahim Diaz? Probably Baena. Best combo, Cubarsí and Romero, or Borro and Martinez? It's very close. I'd probably go for Cubarsí and Romero, which might not be everyone's cup of tea. Hi, Dylan. What do you think of Patrick Berg from Norway? If you're in the market for a very cheap midfielder, he's probably the best of a bad bunch. We're talking about 5.1 or below. Best under 7 million midfielder. Not even Gordon can be factored in here. Probably one of Baena, Nusa, De Ketelaere, or Trossard. Those are the 4 best. Difficult to pick the best one, but I'd probably lean away from the Belgian midfielders because I think Spain are that solid defensively. Dylan, Doué or Elise, as Elise is a suspension risk. Still Elise for me. Lamine Yamal or Jude. Bellingham. Doué ain't my caliber, though I prefer him in UEFA rather than World Cup. This could be a time for him to shine, though. De Ketelaere or Tielemans or Baena? Yeah, Tielemans is another one. He's a good shout, but probably Baena if I had to pick. Doué or Gordon, Yamal or Dembele? Covered your question earlier. Doué and Dembele. I have 5 players that got knocked out, plus Allow, which ain't starting. Do you think I should take a hit? Yeah, a hit is fine. I think 2 or 3 hits, you're probably... I'd urge a bit of caution. That's what I'd say. But a -3 is definitely reasonable. Even a -6 in some situations, but try not to go overboard with them. It's only 8 match days in general, so the more hits you take, the more... well, the more difficult it becomes to get a green arrow, in my opinion, by some distance. Dylan, if you've got Bellingham and my front line is Mbappe, Haaland and Messi, is there any need of having Kane? I think it's fine to keep the front 3 you have. As good as Kane is, I said this before, especially for those saying, oh, should I sell Kane to Haaland for a hit or vice versa? No, keep what you've got. So with Bellingham, I think you've got England covered offensively to a certain degree. So yeah, you don't need Harry Kane 100%. He's not essential, but he is one of the best players in the game for sure. I have 5 players covered that, thank you. Can you be confident Doué will start the next round? Not necessarily, no. And that's if France go through, which I think they will. For my last transfer out, Fries or Manzambi. Depends who you can bring in for those players, but I think the highest ceiling would be in the midfield. Why is everyone going Gordon? Probably winning the penalty against Mexico, and obviously the attacking returns in the round of 32 with 2 assists for Harry Kane. Moroccan manager playing mind games. He will definitely bring on Saibari. I'm not sure. I've seen plenty of examples where a player is on the bench and he doesn't actually play at all when it comes to the World Cup. Creo que sí, que va a empezar Spence, pero mucho depende de si Reece James está disponible para empezar el partido. No se puede confiar en Reece James porque se lesiona mucho, pero creo que sí, va a empezar Jet Spence, pero no te puedo garantizar de cualquier manera. Es muy difícil decirte con confianza. Ideal defense, probably Cucurella, Cubarsí, Saliba, any other French defender. This could be Upamecano and an Argentinian one like Romero or Lisandro Martinez. -3 for Cucurella, no chips for quarterfinal. Depends who you're selling, but if it's an eliminated player, then sure, I think that's fine. Do I take a -3 hit and take Doué for Barcola? Yeah, -3 is a bit awkward. And look, sometimes the players on the bench ends up outscoring the starter, so would I be surprised if Barcola gets a return with a few minutes? No, I wouldn't be, to be honest. I don't think I would, to be honest. Porro, Cubarsí, Koundé, or Upamecano? Cubarsí. Doué, Romero, Pickford, or Gordon, Cucurella, Magnan? I think Gordon, Cucurella, Magnan as a trio. Oyarzabal, Messi, Mbappe, Dembele, Elise, Gordon, Bellingham, Diaz, Cucurella, Laporte, Saliba, Martinez, O'Reilly, Dibu Martinez, taking -3 for this. Looks good. I'm just wondering what your transfers are, but the 50-man squad looks reasonable. I didn't say Manzambi's definitely out, but it's quite unlikely based on the reports. Dembele or Elise, probably Dembele, but it's close. Saliba and Trossard or Dean and Gordon? Dean and Gordon. Vamos Inglaterra, says Banjo. Vamos Argentina. Best Belgian midfielder to score this match day. Decatellare. I did cover your question earlier, Rania. Doué or Baena? Doué. I think Borro will start, but it's not a guarantee. Borro or Cubarsí? Cubarsí for me. There's a glitch, Dylan, just on my 4 transfers and it's given me another 4. Really? Surely not. If that's the case, I'll be doing it, but imagine it's a visual glitch and it ends up being like a -12 in this case? Yeah. Well, let's wait and see. If anyone else does 4 free transfers, let me know if that glitch is actually a thing and you get 4 free transfers afterwards. I currently have double Argentina defense, Cucurella and Upamecano. Other 2, which team should I look at? England. Saliba or Koundé? Saliba. There's not much difference, Miguel. Cualquiera está bien, pero prefiero Saliba. Es un poquito menos caro. What else do we have? Felipe says, is 4 England players too much? Kane, Bellingham, Gordon, and O'Reilly. I think triple England attack might be too much, but I think Kane and Bellingham are 2 of the best options in their position. The other 2 are a bit questionable, but I think having 3 is definitely fine. 4, yeah, it might be teetering on a bit too much at this stage, but I think England will go through, so should be all right. Yeah, no, Yamal, can't have them all. Why take out Manzambi instead of Halal? Well, because Halal is 3.5 million. I can't really afford anybody else, really. Wolf, is that worth a -3 hit? No, it really isn't. So I think I've just got more wiggle room by selling Manzambi. So let's bring in Baena in this provisional transfer plan. Get rid of Vinicius and Saibari. And then bring in Bellingham. And, well, we'll wait and see. But Dest and Munoz out. But yeah, if there's that the 4 free transfers glitch, I'm not sure if that's a thing, by the way, but if that's an actual thing, then I'll just make 4 free transfers and not take the hit then. Why would I? I'd just be losing points unnecessarily. But I could do this and then bring in Baina here instead for Saibari, Saliba, and Kubarsi. That looks pretty good. 0.5 in the bank, and I could sell Saibari there. But yeah, I haven't seen anyone else saying it. It's no glitch. I saw 4 free transfers as well. Refresh and it showed me the one that's left. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. It's possible if transfers are actually working as they should. I think a -3 is most likely for me. I don't think Manzambi will start. I covered this many times. Yeah, I'm well aware the Moroccan defender's not starting. I even said this in my team selection that I don't think he'll start, so it's not news to me. Nico Williams is back. No, not sure up on Baina. I'm not sure about Baina to begin with. Any idea on England defense? Concer's fine. Thank you, Trenix, and good luck. I wouldn't use maximum captain now. My advice is matchday 7 or 8 because you have 4 windows for the captaincy this week. You only get 2, so basically 1 switch for 7 or 8, and you have 3 switches now. I'd rather use it then. Kubarsi por un -3. Ya tengo a Cucurella y Simón. En este caso, no me molestaría comprar un defensor de Francia. Would you take a -3 for Manzambi to Due? Yes. Thoughts on Dean and Borro? Slight rotation risk. Obviously, we know that Dean starts tonight. I think Borro will tomorrow. But, yeah, I talked about this before. I prefer Saliba. Also thinking about the long term. And Kubarsi and Laporte probably better than Pedro Borro as well. I think Cucurella is the best Spanish defender in general. Bring in Lisandro and keep Saibari for free or -3 for Romero and Nusa. It's a good question. I'd probably bring in Lisandro for free. Very close. Would you take out Elise or Dembele for Yamal? No, especially if it's for a -3. I definitely wouldn't do it there. -3 for Vargas to Gordon. For a -3, no. I think Olmo will start, and yes, I'm aware that Halal's not starting. I said that many times. I'm probably not going to sell him, though. Unless I could buy another French or Spanish defender, it just doesn't make sense for me to do so. Maybe Gordon instead of Bellingham can help me do it, but I want Bellingham. I said that already, Lacosta. Konsa. Esri Konsa. Konsa? Thank you. Gordon or Due? Due. Best mid for 6.5 million max besides Baena? Probably Nusa or Decatellare. Trossard and Molina versus Baena and Martinez. Baena and Martinez. I've got 6 players out. I'd take a hit or 2 in your case, but it depends on which players you can bring in. I'm not sure if Medina will start. Both Argentinian fullbacks are not secure. Hello, -3 from Saibari to Marino. I don't think Marino will start, but even off the bench, as we saw against Portugal, he can score a decisive goal, so I'm not completely against that. Tagliafico and Diaz or Decatellare / Baena plus Kubarsi. I would go for Kubarsi and Baena. Have 1 free transfer left with Saibari, Halal, Fries, and Vargas from Colombia. Who should I prioritize to get rid of? I'd prioritize getting rid of Saibari and Vargas. Those 2 should be the priority. I wouldn't mind a -3, but obviously hits involving goalkeepers is always a little bit of a weird one. Yamal or Dembele for 10 million left. It's a very close call, but probably Dembele. I have maximum captain, 12th man, and wildcard. Depends on your squad, but probably wildcard now. Ooh. If you're happy with your team this week, 12th man now, wildcard 7, and maximum captain in matchday 8. Why not Kunses instead of Saliba? 0.1 million difference. There's not really much in it. I said this already. Max 7.2 million best player. If this is midfield we're talking about, then maybe Gordon. Tagliafico Diaz covered. Thank you. Worth a -3 to replace Saibari at 6.8 million or below. I'm not a big fan of the midfielders at that price and below, but Trossard, Decatellare, Nusa, and Baena would be the standouts. I might lean towards Baena, but not by much. Is it worth a -3? I'm not sure, to be honest. 13.8 for 2 midfielders. maybe Due and De Ketelaere. That could work. Yeah, I think that is pretty reasonable. De Ketelaere or Diaz for a hit. Diaz has been better throughout the competition, but I think De Ketelaere. The thing is, yeah, like both Morocco and Belgium, I wouldn't say they're like it's impossible for them to go through. Spain have the better defense, but yeah, Saibari is a huge miss for Morocco, in my opinion. Great question. I'm probably going to say De Ketelaere. De Ketelaere versus Baena. Baena. Trossard's a decent option, but he's facing Spain. That's my big concern there. Hi, Dylan. Should I go for Olmo or Due for a -3? Due. We know he starts for sure. I think Olmo will too, but yeah, I think Due could do very well tonight. Gordon or Baena? Gordon. Sell Manzambi or keep 1 to 2 week minimum injured? I'd sell Manzambi if you can, but it depends on the budget you've got available. Kubarsi or Laporte? Kubarsi. Not much difference in there either. Yeah, Quansah's the best England defender, if that's who you're talking about. Could Saibari come on? Well, based on all the reports, no. Because they all said that he's out. Laporte, Kubarsi or Hakimi? Kubarsi. I think Hakimi's last. Play clean sheet chip now? Both are viable, but I'd use it now. Thanks, mate. Here's my team. Pickford, Martinez, Upamecano, Hakimi, Cucurella, Kubarsi, Medina, Dembele, Baena, Due, Manzambi, Kane, Messi, Mbappe. Yeah, I'd buy Gordon for a -3. The only concern with that, well, you don't have Bellingham, so that's pretty fine to have double England attack and triple up overall. But yeah, the big concern, in my opinion, is Medina might not start, and there are some question marks about Baena too. I said Kubarsi several times, mate. Thank you. Dylan, Upamecano / Saliba plus De Ketelaere or Dean and Baena? Probably Dean and Baena, but very close. Do you think Barkla to Bellingham is worth a -3? Yes. Could Barkla score off the bench? He could, but I think Bellingham is one of the best midfielders in the game. I think Baena will start, but it's not guaranteed. Thank you very much. Play clean sheet shield now or in semi covered. I would play it now. Kubarsi or Dean? Kubarsi. If you're looking for a 5.1 million midfielder or below, I'd go for Berg, yes, but that's because you don't have any other option. Why Kubarsi over Laporte? He's cheaper, neither qualify for the scouting bonus, and ultimately, I think with Spain, there isn't much separating all their defenders. I still have the 12th man. What do you think? I'd use it now. You've got Messi, Kane, Mbappe, Dembele, Bellingham, Elise, but you can use it on someone like Yamal, Haaland, or maybe Oyarzabal. Easy says Dest, Munoz, Saibari, Vinicius, and Manzambi to Kubarsi, Dean, Bellingham, Diaz, and McAllister. Take a -3 and empty space to 1 eliminate player defender. In that case, buy a French or Spanish defender, and you're good to go. 2 options for my last free transfer, Freeman to Lisandro or Saibari to Gordon. I'd go for Saibari to Gordon. Yeah, Romero will definitely start. Keep Hakimi or sell? I'd sell him. Is it worth using a hit if you have one defender not playing and are using the clean sheet chip? Yeah, I think a hit is still worthwhile for a defender, but I'd buy French or Spanish. Worth taking a -3 to take Canada player for Berg? No. Aside from Martinez and Romero, which other Argentina defender would you recommend? Just don't go for the headache. 2 is enough. Martinez and Romero are the best ones. They are more expensive. Yeah, if you already have Argentinian defensive coverage, look elsewhere. Tielemans a good shout as he takes pens. He's a decent shout, yeah. He's a bit underrated when it comes to budget midfielders, but Spain have such a good defense. Obviously, you think they'll concede, which is fair enough. So a Belgian midfielder could work. Yeah, under 50 minutes to go. I'll try to lock in fairly soon. I don't think that glitch that someone mentioned earlier is actually happening, though. I think it was Let's Talk Vinny who said it. For the wildcard third striker, Harry Kane. Due or Gordon? Due. I have Dembele, Bellingham, and Mbappe already. Due. I basically have, es en Spanish, tengo básicamente 7 que van a ir de titulares, incluyo a Medina, probablemente banca. Sí. Y tío, la verdad, no te puedo garantizar de cualquier manera. Puede ser Medina o Tagliafico, pero creo que va a ser Tagliafico. 7 de titulares y en este caso puede ser que varios hits, -3, -6, quizás un -9, puede ser bueno para vos. Best 4.6 million defender. Probably Lisandro. Yeah. I feel like Gordon is overrated. You might be right. I just think at 7 million and below, we aren't exactly sport for choice. What happens if France are eliminated? Well, it makes the game very interesting, and those with the wild card will be in a great position. But honestly, I'd rather France get eliminated than be in a strong position World Cup fantasy-wise. But that's, yeah, just to increase my nation's chances of winning it. But whoever we face is whoever we face. Gotta beat who's in front of you. Haaland or Dembele for 12th man? Dembele. Hola, Nilan, que dices que gaste algún -3 en alguien que me recomiendes. Pickford, Martínez, Kubarsi, Konsa, Halal, Martínez, Saliba, Baena, Dembele, Bellingham, Olise, Manzampi, Kane, Mbappe y Messi. Quizás un reemplazante para Manzambi, pero con Halal es un poquito más difícil porque solo cuesta 3.5 millones, así que comprando un defensor bastante sólido va a ser difícil. Upamecano or Dean. Upamecano safe for long term, but obviously we know Luka Dean starts tonight. Very close. I would go for Luka Dean if the extra 0.3 helps you elsewhere, and that could be to buy Bellingham or something along those lines. If that's the case, go for Luka Dean. A midfield for less than 6.7. I've mentioned several names here at this point. Alex Baena, Nusa, Tielemans, Decatellare. Those are probably my favourites. I'm leaning towards Baena, but not by much. Who do you think is the best captain for each match? That's a great question. Very, very good question. Let's go to that then. So, for the first match, France versus Morocco, Mbappe. No surprises there. Spain against Belgium. One of Oyarzabal or Yamal. I would maybe lean towards Oyarzabal, to be fair. He could be a great 12th man this week. Norway, England. Bellingham, Kane and Haaland are the top 3. I'd say Harry Kane. Argentina, Switzerland. Lionel Messi. No league lineups for England. No league lineups for anyone, to be fair. We only know France versus Marruecos. Apparently the 4 free transfer bug is real. I might just use the transfers then. Cool. So I'm going to test out this transfers thing, and it might fall flat on my ass if, yeah, this ends up not working. Apparently the bug is if you use 4 free transfers, you get 4 free transfers again. So this is what Stereo Coco says. But just do 4, then do the other free transfer, not at once more than 4. Oh. Okay, but I mean, I'm not encouraging people to exploit the game, but are you saying if you use 4 free transfers, that's fine, all at once, but then afterwards you have to use 1 each time? If that's the case, that's quite ridiculous. ¿Quién dices que cambie por Manzampi? Tengo 1.6 en el banco. Anthony Gordon, con el dinero que tienes, 7.2. Sí, creo que Gordon. Banjo says more cheating. I mean, I haven't cheated in World Cup Fantasy, to be honest. They're going to deduct points from your final score. People said that about Matchday 1 when they made the transfer after the deadline. Instead, it went through for Matchday 2 and no points were taken away, as far as I'm aware. So, Yeah, maybe I'll recalculate just to make sure that I wasn't taking points away. Let's actually check. Do I have the points that correspond to me? 109, yeah. 7, 122. No, yeah, no hits were taken away after that Laporte Llorente thing, which I was a bit fortunate with in the end. But the only reason I sold Laporte in the first place on match day 1 because of was the ownership thing. 5%, is he gonna be under the threshold or not? Thanks for the super chat, Julio. Mañan, Martinez, Saliba, Kubarsi, Konsa, Cucurella, Martinez, Tielemans, Bellingham, Elise, Dembele, Mbappe, Kane, Messi. Any mid for 5.3 million to take out Manzambi. There aren't many, to be honest, but maybe Sandenberg from Norway, and that could be a quick fix. I think England will go through, but I think from the underdogs, Norway are the most likely to advance to the semi-finals. I'll have another look, though, and see if I can find anybody else, but I've mainly been looking at midfielders over 5.3 million, whether that's Decatellare, Nusa, Tielemans, Trossard. Yeah, Bayern, you know the names by now. Those are the main ones I've been highlighting in this stream. Let's see if I can find anybody else. Let's see. Hopefully I can come up with a few names for you. Drop a like, by the way, if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel. All your support is massively appreciated. It's always good to see so many of you in the building. Cool. Let's see if we can find this. Anybody? Yeah, 5.3 and below. I'm afraid to say it's not looking good, bruv. But Vanaken could be underrated at 5.5. Obviously, for those looking for a cheap midfielder. But 5.3 and below, I'm going to probably settle for Sandenberg. Another one who has started recently is Raskin for Belgium. Obviously got the assist and tackle points. He qualifies for scouting bonus. So maybe consider Raskin, but he's facing Spain. So yeah, if you are going for that sort of midfielder, they're all going to be from the underdogs. And I think Norway have the best chance of going through. So I'm probably going to stick with Sandenberg there, who is mainly going to get tackle points for you. Thanks for the question. Bayern instead of Saibari, surely? Maybe, yeah. It's just not a guarantee. I'm less convinced about Bayern the closer we get to it. No es seguro que Tagliafico va a empezar. Creo que sí, pero con ambos laterales de Argentina es una duda bastante grande. I did my transfers yesterday, so maybe it only works that way. But people have been doing it now. As in, they've made transfers today, and they've realized that they are able to make more, apparently. Didn't work for me, the 4 free transfers bug. Yeah, bug not working for me. But did you use 4 free transfers first and confirm them and then try more? That's what you need to check out. Because for me as well, if I try to make 5 or 6 transfers, it says -3 and -6, as it should. I think with the others, what they've been talking about is something a little bit different. The best time to use the maximum captain is 7 or 8, Ahmed. I wouldn't use it now, because you can only switch it 3 times. Well, you can switch the captaincy 3 times now, which is still plenty of wiggle room. You can only switch it once for the semi-finals or final. Manzambi is a doubt to play. I said that before. Mr. Spectacular says yes. Next Frame says yes, but Crag says no, not working. I'm aware that Halal's not starting. I can't sell them all unless this glitch works, which I'll find out soon enough. Both Molina and Tagliafico are big risks. I wouldn't personally recommend them. Based on the lineups I've seen, which are basically just, what, English outlets or English accounts, so I'm not saying they're that reliable, but they think that Tagliafico will be benched for Medina and that Montiel will... well, actually, it was 50-50, wasn't it, on the left-back front? But yeah, both of them thought that Molina would start. In my opinion, and I could be wrong, I think Montiel could get the nod. Actually. It's weird. I did use the first 4 free transfers, and it said again 4 free transfers. I refreshed, and now it says 0. Yeah, exactly that, Ahmed. And also, we've got clear favourites now. Argentina, Spain, France, and England. When you get to the semi-finals, if it's Spain, France, that's so difficult to call. The same goes for Argentina, England, if we get those big clashes in the semi-finals. I wouldn't take it for a goalkeeper, no. No glitch now. I did 4 free transfers, confirmed them. Now trying to do a 5th, and it tells me -3. Fair enough. I'm not sure where people are seeing this, if it's the app or browser. So for those that have reported this glitch, let us know. But yeah, ultimately, if some people are benefiting from a glitch and others aren't, I mean, that is unfair. I'd want to join another party. Let's rig it. This is what you call rigging. Let's rig this bloody World Cup fantasy game. Hey, Haaland or Oyarzabal for 12th man. Oyarzabal. I'm going to go with Brahim Diaz instead of Saibari. That's fair enough. I think Brahim Diaz is the best Moroccan asset alongside Hakimi now. And based on the context of facing France, I'd go for Brahim Diaz. How much is the scouting bonus now? It's still 5%, but there aren't many scouting bonus opportunities as we had before. They didn't give you guys a hit for the following match day last time. No. Odegaard or Gordon? I'd go for Gordon. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if they will deduct points from the final score anyway for those that were able to get the glitch working. Trump cheat code activated. That should be the name of the chip, if you can even call it a chip. To be honest, scouting bonus should have been higher. Yeah, I agree. It should have been upgraded to 10%, or it should have been 10% from the beginning. Looking at previous minutes, Due is almost guaranteed to be benched next week. Suspect they are benching Barkla, so he doesn't pick up a suspension. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. 12th man or clean sheet shield? 12th man. If Reece James is fit enough, he will start, but that's a big question in of itself. He gets injured way too often. More cheating than Trump's Infantino phone call. Maybe they would take it after the round, but my total still the same. Yeah. I mean, I just double-checked with the Matchday 1-2 shenanigans, and no hits were taken there, so I don't think it would be in this case, but I can't guarantee it. I think the minus points would be taken off after the round is done. I'd try to go and make a 6th separate transfer, and it shows a total minus points -6 if I do that transfer. Ooh. Right. Honestly, either way, I just see myself making 4 transfers. I don't think, unless I knew for sure that I can make another 4, and then I can just get my ideal squad. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ahmed, you're not the only one to say that. A lot of people have said it. I disagree. I think all the decisions were correct, but I mean, nothing I can say will, convince people otherwise. So I'll just let people think what they want, really. Olmo with scouting bonus or Baena? Olmo, but he is significantly more expensive. I said this before. Oyarzabal, Trossard or Diaz? Spain are better defensively, to be fair. Maybe Diaz. Is Molina safe to play 4.6 defender? Not safe, no. ¿Y si vale la pena o -3 para cambiar a Saibari? Creo que sí. No, para mí no va a jugar. Worth taking a hit to get Baena for an eliminated player. Yes, but there is a chance he doesn't start. Best 4.2 million defender. I mean, if we knew that Medina was starting, it would be him by some distance, but I think Wolf from Norway is probably the one. I mean, look, in my opinion, and ultimately football's a game of opinions, I think the biggest robbery was Croatia-Portugal, because that last-minute goal by Croatia, I mean, there's literally no touch. Oh, I should say the Portuguese player does touch it, so it's just onside, and the Croatia goal should stand. That's the biggest robbery. I think a bigger deal's been made of the Egypt-Argentina game when Croatia-Portugal is the worst one by some distance. Yeah, DS is playing striker. Yeah, that's fine. But I think France go through. Can free transfers be saved? No. You can't roll transfers in the knockout stages. Olmo or Gordon? It's a close one, to be fair, but probably... Yeah, Olmo in this case, since you've got double England attack. Yeah. I appreciate the context, because I like Gordon in isolation, but yeah, I think Olmo to cover that Spain attack would be my preference there. We've taken a hit to get Bayona. Yeah, probably, but I'm not a massive fan of Bayona. Got double Argentina defense, Cucurella, O'Reilly, Saliba. I need to take out one of Fries or Halal and have 1.2 in the bank. Ooh. $1.2 in the bank. I think in this case you get rid of Fries. I'm just wondering which goalkeeper you have, but one of Magnan or Unai Simon would be my preference. Ahmed says, great game regardless. We should have closed the game nevertheless. Sorry, my chat is literally freezing again. Let me get it back up. We should have played a bit rough and frustrated the Argentinians. Yeah, look, obviously we can talk about this later as well, and I get it. I mean, I'm Argentinian, you're Egyptian, so naturally we're going to lean towards, you know, one side of the narrative or the other. But yeah, I think Egypt should have closed it out, and there were some very offensive changes, which is very strange. And I get it, Argentina were vulnerable, and with every attack, I think Argentina were there for the taking. So I just think the balance wasn't there, and you should have seen the game out. With the 3 goals themselves, in my opinion, I mean, there's literally no... Well, the controversy would be with the 3rd goal, right? With Salah. For me, that's never a penalty, but obviously others are going to disagree with that. But yeah, I think Egypt, they did really well to get to 2-0. And in the end, I mean, yeah, there's a lot that could be said, but I'm probably going to save it for myself, actually. 30 minutes to lock in. Yes, I'll try to lock my own squad before I forget. Let me go for the Super Chats first. Thank you to Paredes, a member for 15 months. Hey, Dylan, Concert, O'Reilly, Byrne, Borro, expected minutes, Gordon. Well, Concert is a regular starter for England, and he could also be a right-back solution, with Quansah suspended for 2 games. Dan Byrne is not a guaranteed starter. I mean, technically O'Reilly isn't either, but he is first-choice left-back for England. Pedro Porro is first choice for Spain, but there is always the chance Llorente comes in, either for Matchday 6 or beyond, if Spain were to go through. Gordon, there's always Rashford knocking on the door, but I think Gordon is first choice left winger for England. So if I'm looking at it, I think Concert is the most secure. Gordon, probably 70 minutes. I think O'Reilly should start. I think with Byrne, no, and Borro should start as well and get 70 minutes at least. So yeah, that's the way I'd sort of rank things a little bit. I chose Rasking, thanks. 12th man or maximum captain. I'd use the 12th man now. I said this before as well, because with the maximum captain, you can switch to captaincy only once on match day 7 and 8, because we have 2 matches for the semi-finals and 2 for match day 8, where we have the 3rd place playoff and the World Cup final. So the margin for error there is slimmer when it comes to the captaincy. This week, you can go for Mbappe captain. If that doesn't work, you can go for Yamal or Yassabal. If that doesn't work, then you can go for Harry Kane, Bellingham or Haaland. Take your pick. If that doesn't work, you've got Messi. For the next round of fixtures, you can have Spain versus France facing each other and Argentina versus England. If that's the case, very tough games to call and only 1 captaincy switch. So I'd rather just use the maximum captain for 7 or 8. And also with the 12th man, it's just easier to get that spot on early in the competition, where you've got clear favourites this round in Argentina, Spain, France and England, in my opinion. So you'd naturally gravitate towards using the 12th man this week. 2 mids for 11.4 million. I'm taking out Manzambi and... Or is that Manzambi out for Tielemans? 11.42 mids. I mean, you said you chose Raskin. I'm not sure if you've bought him in already, but if you were to buy Raskin, then you've got roughly, what, 6 million? So Bayern could come into play for you, or Nusa. That's what I'd probably say for you then. Get Raskin and then one of Bayern or Nusa, depending on your prediction for that game and whether you think Bayern starts or not. But it is a good question and it's very tough. I'm honestly not a big fan of most midfielders in World Cup fantasy now. Apart from Dembele, Elise and Bellingham, I think there's a big gap between them and the rest. That's where Barkley/Doué look okay, Gordon and obviously Yamal, but he hasn't really lived up to the 10 million price tag so far. Paredes says best 4.9 million and under defenders. Yeah, Lisandro Martinez and Cons are my favourites. Obviously, you've excluded them and O'Reilly from the list. There isn't too much that I can really say because Spain and France are my favourites this week. Maybe Jed Spence, maybe. I'm not a big fan, but apart from England and Spain, I'm looking at... Sorry, apart from Spain and France, it's England and Argentina for me, for defenders. So yeah, I'm going to say Jed Spence. I have one free transfer, 0.9 in the bank. Medina or Manzambi out. I would say Manzambi out, just because you've got more options technically. I mean, that is a debate. But I'd rather keep Medina there as things stand. And there is a chance that Medina starts, to be honest. Best 5.9 million midfielder or below, De Ketelaere. I got De Ketelaere in, a second hit worth to get Cucurella in. Depends who you're selling to get Cucurella in. I'm guessing it's an eliminated player. But yeah, I think so. Even though you've got the clash, I think it's worth it. Dembele or Yamal for Doué. I prefer Dembele. I never said Morocco are eliminating France, so I think you misunderstood me there. I said France are going to go through, in my opinion. You can't discount the underdogs. They have a chance, but I think Spain and France are the most likely to go through to the next round. What's this other question? Sorry, it's just my chat is bugging out here a little bit. What percentage chance do you give for France, Spain, England, and Argentina? Roughly, I'd say 80% for France, 75% for Spain. Argentina, probably 60 to 65%. And I think for England, a little bit lower than that. But I think all of them go through. Yamal or Elise? Elise? Oh. No. I mean, that's 50-50. If it's Dembele, I'd probably put him ahead of both. But I think Yamal. Just about. The first is more expensive, but is it a risk to have both Dembele and Elise? Well, it can go really well, as we saw on Matchday 3 against Norway's B team. Quite well on Matchday 4 as well, but yeah, Matchday 5 was a big disappointment, so that's where the doubts come into play, but I'd probably go for Yamal. I think the Belgian fixture is very good for Spain. Thank you, Julio. I have De Ketelaere, Bellingham, Elise, Dembele, any midfielder for 5.8. That's the thing. So either Berg, Raskin, you're a bit below Nusa, who might have been my sort of preference in the midfield. You can't afford Anderson or Rice. None of the big hitters, really. Like Enzo Fernandez or McAllister, or at least players from big nations. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but I'm probably going to say that then. Raskin or Berg. I'll have another look and see if I can find someone for you. I like Tielemans, but obviously he's a bit above the threshold. Do you go McAllister? I mean, that's not terrible. Yeah, I wish I can give you like someone really good. Like if you could afford Brahim Diaz, I'd probably point you in that direction, to be fair, based on how things are set up for you, but yeah, the rest, the points could go anywhere else. Yeah, I'm afraid to say I can't really find anybody else. I'm probably going to stick with Berg then. Raskin could be a shout, but obviously you got Decathlari as well. Dino says, si cambias a Saliba por Dean, puedes tener a Gordon, Baena, Dembele, Olise y Bellingham. A ver. Sí, creo que tienes razón, porque tengo 0.5 millones. Tengo dudas de Luka Dean a largo plazo, pero... Bueno, te digo la verdad, no necesito vender a Saliba por Luka Dean. Puedo comprar a Saliba o cualquier defensor, hasta Kunde. Pero gracias por la sugerencia. Sí, pues está hablando de Baena también. Estoy equivocado yo, ¿no? A ver. Baena. Sí, sí, porque es 0.1 millones. Sí, puedo hacer eso por un -3. No es malo lo que está diciendo. Está bastante bueno la sugerencia. Para un -3 solo tendría Halal que bueno, que no esté disponible. No me molesta Nusa y todos estos jugadores, pero te digo la verdad, lo que no me gusta mucho es tener 3 atacantes de Inglaterra. Pero, mira, estoy siendo bastante comilón. Es posible que vaya para algo como esto, por un -3. También estoy pensando en algo así, que sería por un -3 también. Así que Díaz, Due, Saliba, Kubarsi, no están mal, pero no creo que tiene mucho sentido comprar a Díaz. Yo creo que Francia va a ganar. Pero sí, gracias por la sugerencia y voy a estar pensándolo. Lo que voy a intentar hacer, lo puedes responder de este super chat que viene, es, bueno, finalizar mi equipo y después responder a las preguntas que vienen. So yeah, some good suggestions there in Spanish from Dino Sanchez, and he was recommending Luka Dean for Saliba, and that allows me to buy Gordon, Bayern, Dembele, Elise, and Bellingham for a -3 hit, so it's a pretty good one. I'm going to finalize my team fairly soon, but I'm going to answer the super chat first. Anahi or Trossard or Diaz for Saibari, Dembele or Lamine, Elise, my team. Okay, so to replace Saibari, I'd probably buy Diaz. Dembele or Lamine, it's still Dembele for me. Now, if it was Lamine or Elise, I'd probably lean towards Lamine Yamal this week, but that's just a gut feeling of mine, and it's quite close between the 3 of them. But I do like the Belgian fixture for Spain. So in terms of this poll, 76% of you have gone for Bellingham and Baena, and I appreciate the amount of votes. A lot of them have come in. Drop a like, subscribe, and what we're going to try to do is get this stream to over 200 likes. That'd be massively appreciated, and it literally costs nothing, and it goes a long way to supporting the channel. So let's see where we're at right now. And as I said, at the end, I'll be gifting 10 memberships to viewers, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. So yeah, we're getting quite close to 200 likes. Voice crack. I'm like, Harry Kane. Yeah, so I'll try to lock in as soon as possible. But let's go for this pregunta. Oh yeah, I already did. And yeah, my preference is Diaz and Dembele. Let me know what you think about that one and try to lock in your teams as soon as possible. Have the app ready just in case, and also the browser just to give yourself the best fighting chance. All right. Let's have both transfers ready. So this one, it would be Sabari out, Bellingham in again, Vinicius out, could be Bayona, and then Saliba and Kubarsi. And that would be for free. I mean, yeah, it's quite similar, right? This is the one with Luca Dean. I'll get rid of that one. Okay. Yeah, 12th man this week, and I'd go for Harry Kane. I'm not sure if Medina starts. It's a possibility, but I think it's going to be Tagliafico, and I might be wrong about that one. So, Dean instead of Saliba to afford. Let's see if I can just get all of these players in. So that'd be Luca Dean. Jesus Christ. Dean, Bayona, Kubarsi, Gordon. Hey, Gordon, fuck you. That's a pretty good meme. Yeah, Bellingham's going to come in regardless. And then the other one is what you see on screen here. So that'll be Saliba, Kubarsi. Yeah, probably Bayona again. And keep Manzambi. So yeah, I'm going to put this poll up and see what you lot think. I mean, technically Bayona's in both situations anyway. Transfer out Halal and Saibari for a -6. Depends who you can buy for those players, but yeah, I think for Saibari, the ideal replacements would be someone like Doué or Gordon. But if you don't have enough money for that, then you're looking at the likes of Bayona, Trossard, Tielemans, De Ketelaere, and I'm not a big fan of the Belgian midfielders against Spain. You've also got Nusa, who's not too shabby, but Diaz might be underrated from Morocco. I'd go for one of those midfielders and nothing else, but if you have enough money, definitely go for someone like Doué or Anthony Gordon. Transfer's done. Yep, that's good. I wish I could say the same thing. I will join you very soon. But yeah, I'm just deliberating between these final transfers. I might take my first -3 hit of the tournament. Kubarsi or Koundé? Kubarsi. Is Manzambi to anyone under 6.1 million worth the -3? To be honest, probably not, but I am considering getting Bayona just in case. But I wouldn't say it's an absolute lock. I'm not a big fan of the cheap midfielders right now. O'Reilly, Tagliafico versus Byrne. I mean, they're all rotation risk to a certain degree. I'd probably say Tagliafico, but only just, and I might be wrong about that if Medina ends up starting. I'd go for Doué over Gordon. I said this already, mate. Laporte's a bit more expensive, so with my transfer plans, it makes sense for me to buy Kubarsi instead. Now, with what you see on the screen, sure, I can get Laporte instead of Kubarsi, so that doesn't really matter too much, but I'm also thinking about future rounds where I might need the extra money, and in this case, where I buy Luca Dean and I get Bayona, Gordon, and Bellingham, well, I can't afford Laporte. I would need to buy Kubarsi and Luca Dean instead of Saliba and Emerick Laporte. Gordon and Tagliafico or Dean and Baena? That's a really close one. Probably Luca, Dean and Baena. Double Spanish defense or Cucurella, Borro plus O'Reilly, Spence? No, I'd go for double Spanish defense. Transferring 2 defenders with a budget of 7.7. Ugh, that's really not looking good, bruv. You don't really have much wiggle room there. Do you go for Salah-Eddin? I mean, I don't think Morocco keep a clean sheet, to be fair, but yeah. Even if I said something like Wolf from Norway, you are limited to 3.7 million for your other defender, so I'd ideally spend more money. I'm pretty sure I remember talking to you about this before, where you had a really good midfield and attack, but your defense was very threadbare, and you're not spending enough money in that position. I think that echoes very true here as well. Defenders plus goalkeepers, 1 English, 2 Spanish, 2 French, and 2 Argentinian, or 1 English, 3 Spanish, 3 French, 1 Argentinian, or any other combination. 2 eliminated, 1 English, 1 Spanish, 1 Argentinian, 1 Moroccan. I'd probably say the best balance. To be honest, it's probably 3 Spanish and 3 French at the moment. The only downside to that is if they go through, they're going to face each other in the semi-finals. But yeah, I think their chances of going through to the latter stages are very high. I haven't tried the glitch myself, to be honest, and it's not like I want to actively exploit it, but yeah. If you're not seeing the glitch work, let's say, then just don't take hits unnecessarily. Removing Hakimi for any defender, worth it for a -3? Yes, a French or Spanish defender. Thank you, Ignacio. ¿Con quién vas de capitano hoy? Mbappé. Y ya usé el escudo de portería y fue un desastre. What do you think of Max Captain? Use it on match day 7 or 8. I've been very consistent on that from the beginning. I think Manzambi will not play against Argentina, and I'm also hoping for that as an Argentinian fan. Worth taking the -3 on Manzambi? If yes, for who? There aren't many great midfielders at 5.8 or below, but Decathlari is probably the standout. Thanks as well, Jonathan. Number 191 worldwide. Fair play. Saibari, Diaz out for Olmo and Bob -6. I'd keep Diaz and just bring in Olmo if you can. Maybe you're saying this because you need to buy that cheaper midfielder to fund Saibari to Olmo, but if you can help it, keep Brahim Diaz. I think he's better than Bob. I'm thinking Luca Dean and Ngoy. But you said 7.7, no? Or am I being stupid? Yeah, if it's 8.7, then sure, then that can work. But Luca Dean costs 5 million. That leaves you 2.7 million in the bank for the other defender. So maybe I misunderstood. Who'll be more deadly versus Belgium between Yamal and Baena? Yamal. The major question mark I'd have is Oyarzabal. I think he could be the most dangerous, but between those two, it would be Yamal. McAllister or Enzo? Probably Enzo, but McAllister could be a decent budget midfielder. Is it worth going Saka? Probably not. I think at that price and above, you're looking at Elise, Dembele and Yamal, and Bellingham is just the better option in general. So, Captain Mbappe, gut tells me Dembele. Then you should back your gut, in my opinion, but I'm going to go for Mbappe. I mean, the World Cup tax is real with that guy. It's not working, the glitch, don't try it. Yeah, fair enough. I think more people have basically said what you're saying, but there have been a few who are claiming that it works. I'm not sure if that's the case. Okay, so most of you are going for the -3 here for Luca Dean, Kubarsi, Baena, and Gordon. Would it change much if I put Laporte over Kubarsi? Maybe a little bit, but not by much. I mean, ultimately, Baena's in there for both situations, and I'd buy Bellingham regardless. So yeah, I think I'm going to take my first -3 hit of the tournament and buy both Gordon and Bellingham. And have triple England attack, which sounds crazy. But there you go. So, Pickford and Martinez in goal. Luca Dean, Halal, who's benched, but I'm not really going to sell him. Cucurella, Kubarsi, Martinez. One other thing I'd consider is maybe buying a budget midfielder for Gordon and then using those funds to upgrade Halal. But unless I can go to a French or Spanish defender, I don't really see it as worthwhile. And if I just try out quickly, so a -6 here, Saliba in, Gordon would need to go down. I can't even get Decathlare, which I probably would have gone for in this case. I could go for Raskin, but is that really what I want? Probably not, to be fair. So yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to now for me. I think the -3 hit will be taken, but I'm going to lock in the next couple of minutes. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Need money for Olmo. Gordon buying a -6 instead. Yeah, fair enough. It's just Bob. He's a good player, but I think he's kind of regressed in the last year or so. And look, maybe I'm wrong about this, and maybe I'm going to give you the wrong sort of like duo thing, but in my opinion, it's better to go Gordon Bayern instead for a -6. Bayern is a slight rotation risk, but he's more likely to start than Oscar Bob. So thank you for the super chats and all the questions. I appreciate it. That was what I'd end up recommending. So let's go for the -6. So that would be Saliba and Raskin. -3, Halal, and in this case, it would be what? Gordon. Yeah. I think I know what people are going to say. Did I put that right? I think I did. Yeah, Lisandro and Romero will start. My main concern is with the fullbacks with Argentina. Worth getting Argentina English mid, not Bellingham or Gordon. I prefer the English mids, to be honest, in World Cup Fantasy. The players are out. It's time to play. Soon. Not yet. I would use the clean sheet shield now and maximum captain on 7 or 8. I've been very consistent on that from the beginning. French defenders are bingo, which are going to be the best choice. Yeah, true. I mean, Saliba's quite solid in general, but there's not much separating all of them. Kubarsi and Dean or Cucurella Romero? Kubarsi and Dean. So 80% of you have gone for Halal and Gordon. Bloody hell. But yeah, that's what I might end up going for. Yeah, it's just, if I could get Decathlare, I probably would. But yeah, I just can't do it unless I did something else. But I want the Spanish and French defenders, so yeah, I'm going to stick with the original plan there. So keep Halal, who's not going to play, and then buy Anthony Gordon. He's not a great World Cup fantasy asset at the moment, but he has returned in the last 2 games. So yeah, -3. I think the midfield is looking quite poor right now. In general, I'm talking about the kind of wider landscape. Apart from Dembele, Elise, Bellingham, and Yamal, I think the rest look pretty poor. But obviously, that could change, and it's going to be very balanced and a lot of swings in there. But yeah, relatively happy with the defense, all things considered. So yeah, that's how I could end up going. Yeah, Halal's on the bench, and that shouldn't be any surprise to you. I said this in my last couple of videos as well. So I was already prepared for this. Would you take a -3 to get Konsa for Mazraoui if on the clean sheet booster? I'm not sure if I'd take a -3 for this. The only ones I'd rather do is for France and Spanish defenders. But I get it. With a clean sheet shield, England could concede once and you still get the points. I think Morocco will concede more than once, so maybe I'd lean towards yes, but only because of the clean sheet shield. Took a hit to replace Medina with Martinez. I think it's worth it. Yeah, if Medina doesn't play, then yes, but obviously last week it was 1 point for both of them against Egypt. Gordon's not nailed, no. Well, it's what people were saying in the chat where they made 4 free transfers and then afterwards it said they still had 4 free transfers, and I think they did it one at a time, but others were saying that that wasn't the case and that it would bring up a -3 or -6. So ultimately, I don't recommend doing it anyway, and there is a chance that they take points regardless, even if they say you got 4 free transfers after using them, but it is what it is. So 70% of you went for Halal and Gordon, and it was exactly 100 votes, so I'm going to end that. Yeah, I'm going to lock in. Don't worry about that. I always lock in. But yeah, I mean, ultimately with these transfers, I can't even afford a Saliba for Kubarsi. So yeah, my hands are tied anyway when it comes to double French or Spanish, technically. So yeah, I'm going to go for this. Vinicius, Dest, Munoz, Saibari, and Manzambi out for Bellingham, Luka Dean, Kubarsi, Gordon, and Baena. -3 hit. Done. So let's go to the team selection portion of this and make sure everything is in order. So all my French and Moroccan players are starting. I mean, Halal, I could just vice captain him anyway because I'm going to sub him out. So yeah, try not to vice captain like one of your big hitters. I'm captaining Mbappe here. Emi Martinez on the bench. He plays a little bit later. I'm going to put, let's see. I mean, technically, yeah, England play afterwards. So I'm going to take off Gordon and then go for this 4-4-2. So make sure, for everyone watching, start your French and Moroccan players now. Ideally, your Spanish and Belgian as well. And have all your Argentinian, Switzerland, and potentially Norwegian or England assets on your bench, or maybe 1 or 2 of them. And you can bring them on for your lowest scoring players in your starting 11 there. So that's the way it works. So my final squad is Pickford, Dean, Halal, who's benched, Cucurella, Kubarsi, Elise, Baena, Dembele, Bellingham, Kane, Mbappe captain, with Emi Martinez, Gordon, Martinez, and Messi on the bench. Now, if we get a huge shock and, yeah, let's say the underdogs all go through, I'm well and truly screwed. Of course I am, but I'm very confident France and Spain will go through, and then we'll see what Argentina and England can do as well. But yeah, that's how I've structured my team. I've got 1 Moroccan who's not even playing. I've got 0 Norway, 0 Belgian, and yeah, I've got, yeah, just that's that way I've ordered things, 0 Swiss. So it is what it is. No boost active this week. I've only got 1 remaining in the maximum captain. I'll be using that on match day 7 or 8. Play the game your way. Don't copy anyone else. That's the way you improve as a World Cup fantasy manager. And what I'm going to do here with the remaining minute is answer as many questions as possible. So yeah, let's see what people say in this poll as well. Double Spain versus double France in terms of defense. The France game could be closer than people anticipate. Yeah, I think that's fair. I went for 2-1 France. Good luck as well, Wei Seng. Elise or Mbappe captain? Mbappe, you can see it on screen. Captain Dembele or Mbappe? Same thing. Mbappe. Buzzer beater, I'm psychic. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's just, you're used to it by now. I mean, if you see my streams, you know how late I do my bloody moves, but that's also because of overthinking, but mainly because I'm focusing on the questions. Yeah, super chat, let's see. That's too long to put there, but I didn't see the message. Where's your message? I'm trying to find it as quickly as possible. There's so many messages before yours. Is it this one? Yamal, Gordon, Bellingham, Bayern, and Lisandro Martinez for a -3, leaving an eliminated Mojica and Vargas on my bench, or Olmo, Due, Bellingham, Bayern, Kubarsi, and Kunde, only leaving Vargas for a -6. I do the -6. I do the -6. We are locked in now. Let me know what you ended up going for. But yeah, I literally saw your super chat now, and the message was very deep. Ultimately, there's not a massive difference between the two avenues, -3 or -6, but I think the -6 is what I'd rather go for. Just have another look at it. It is close, actually. It's very, very close, because... yeah, going for Yamal looks good for a -3, to be fair. That's a good question. Bayern is in there for both situations, same with Bellingham. Then it comes down to Gordon versus Due, Yamal versus Olmo, Lisandro, or do you also go for Kubarsi and Kunde for a -6? So Vargas is your only eliminated player. Yeah, great question. Probably the -6 still, but I think the -3 is absolutely fine, to be honest. Yeah, I took a -3. In the end, I used 5 transfers. Love how when we are locked in, the game also starts. Yeah, that's something a lot of people wish for FPL, but I don't think they're going to do that. Good luck as well, Sean. Went for Kunde instead of Dean. Yeah, Kunde's more safer. I only went for Luka Dean because it allowed me to buy Gordon, Bayern, and Bellingham in the midfield, whilst also getting Kubarsi. That's the only reason I've done it. Saliba was my favourite French defender. So, these are my predictions. France 2, Morocco 1, Spain 1, Belgium 0, Norway 1, and yeah, England 2, Argentina 2, Switzerland 1. I might change these if I actually remember to make modifications. If you haven't done so already, drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notification bell so you're always up to date on my content, not just for World Cup Fantasy, but also FPL and UCL Fantasy, which I cover on this channel. And I'll be gifting 10 memberships very soon, but you can become a patron or member yourself by clicking the join button on YouTube or going to patreon.com/FPL Dylan for early access to my videos, proud to comments, amongst many other perks. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, DylanRCM, and join my Discord server. It is a great community to be a part of. And check out every other link, including my World Cup Fantasy Mini League and Spotify. So I'm going to try get the game up, but no guarantees here. For some reason, my TV doesn't actually get signal when I'm also streaming, which is very strange. I don't think it's going to change this time, to be fair. I'm being a bit... yeah, I'm being very optimistic here. So I'm going to get the game up on another device. Yeah, needs must. And yeah, I'll be answering some final questions and comments, and also gifting 10 memberships because we've got a lot of super chats today, a lot of great questions, and I appreciate it. So as a thank you, I'll be gifting those lovely little badges that you can get as a YouTube channel member. Let's see, I don't want to have this full. Okay. Don't worry, I'll get back on screen in a little bit. And let's bring up the game. What I will do now, though, is bring up... I'll leave it on the predictions since this game is still updating. So I've got the game on my left-hand side. I'm going to be a bit delayed, but it is what it is. And let's give those 5 memberships. Double Spain defense has won this poll, or is winning. I'll leave it simmering a little bit longer. And we are close to 200 likes. Let's be sure to reach that and subscribe if you haven't done so already, because we are very close now to 40k. We made big progress over the last month, and it's all thanks to your support. And I'm sure by the time the FPL and UCL Fantasy season is underway, we're going to be hitting that milestone and celebrating another objective on the channel. So let's see who gets these 5 initial memberships. It's completely random. I click a button and YouTube picks. It's not rigged like apparently the World Cup is. So to Shaz, to Adsaboy, obviously you sent in a few super chats. Enjoy that membership. Also to Yalin, to Koreshi R6 and Charlie Cross. Big up to all of you. And yeah, you can thank YouTube for that. They picked you. It wasn't me. Yeah, you can see my match predictor. Let me know your thoughts there. Best 12th man for this round depends on who you don't have already. Apart from the obvious Messis and Kanes and Mbappes. Well, if you don't have one of those 3, go for them. But I'd say Oyarzabal or Yamal would be up there for me. And yeah, Dembele. Oh, that was pretty close for France already. I have double Spain and France. He looks good. It really does. Hoping Belgium will go through. It's not impossible, but it's quite unlikely in my opinion. Brother, if underdogs go through, we are all in the same boat. True. Unless people who are really woke or very, you know, delusional, live in cuckoo land, they end up being rewarded. Obviously, that would be quite interesting, but as long as Argentina go through, I don't care. That's the only thing I actually worry about. Vice Captain Dino Halal. Doesn't really matter, to be fair. I mean, ultimately, I'm going to be subbing them out, but yeah, just vice captain whichever one. As long as you captain one of the big hitters like Mbappe, who for me is the best one, you should be good. But France are all over Morocco right now, and I think it's only a matter of time. Mbappe just ran it off the pitch, though. That was a lot of reading comments. Appreciate the advice on all of them. Great stream. Thank you. It's not the first time. Any World Cup, Euro, FPL, UCL Fantasy, Club World Cup stream I've done, it's pretty much the same story. And yeah, I did my best, and hopefully you enjoyed the stream in the process. Don't worry about it. I went for the -3. To be honest, it's very close. I'm not just saying this to sort of appease you, but I think the -3 could actually outperform the -6. So it could be a blessing in disguise. Let's revisit this if you can remember the exact situation when we go to the next stream, and let me know what scored the most points for you so we can revisit this. But enjoy the membership as well. I think it's very, very close. But apologies for reading it late. I saw it late, and yeah, it was very deep. The message itself. -3 for Infantino versus Switzerland. That's a good one. Only 1 Spanish player and 5 French all in. Yeah, I think with Spain, they don't have many great World Cup fantasy assets except their defenders and goalkeeper. But yeah, France have the more exciting ones up front. Locked in. Good luck, everyone. I'm out. Thank you, Ian. Took a huge risk and went without Jude. I am chasing ranks in my mini league and everyone else has him. So hoping for the best. Well, if he gets booked and blanks, you're obviously in a great position there, but I think Bellingham is top 3 midfielders in the game. Got Yamal, Kubarsi, De Ketelaere, and Gordon. Good transfers. De Ketelaere, of course, clashes with the Spanish defenders, but he is the best Belgian asset alongside Trossard at the moment. I don't think it's scripted for Argentina to win it or reach the final. I'm just saying that now. And by the way, if Argentina get robbed, people are going to be celebrating. They're not going to be saying, oh, injustice. People aren't, you know, what they say they are. That's all I'm saying. Bono is brilliant. He deserves a bigger club. Well, he went to Saudi Arabia for the big dough. Good goalkeeper. I like him. He's my favourite Moroccan player for sure. Any upsets that ruin our fantasy team? I think Norway being England is the most likely. I already gave my thoughts on that. I think Spain and France will go through. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that, Shaz, with the membership. Bang, thank you, Boar. No worries, mate. Like I said, YouTube is the one to thank. I've gone Dembele captain again. Don't like it, but got to go different. Honestly, it's not a bad idea because you've got 3 other windows to fall back on, just in case. And it's important to cover all of them, if possible. Just the Parky says, damn, my team. Is that Magnan, Martinez, O'Reilly, Gobarsi, Cucurella, Laporte, Koundé, Baena, Enzo, Dembele, Barkla, Trossard, Mbappe, Kane, and Messi. Really good team. Obviously, Barkla being benched isn't ideal, but he could still get something. I'm surprised you have Enzo. You hate the guy, but there you go. Obviously, great header against Egypt. Just have to say that. That's the second time I've won. Wow, lucky guy. Some people have never won it, so yeah. I think it does help when you're active in the chat, but obviously spammers aren't exactly qualifying for that. Dangerous shot from the dictator. Yes. After this World Cup, 1 month before FPL and Guessing UCL Fantasy, or are you referring to EPL? But yeah, with the Premier League, honestly, I'm not thinking about it too much. Mbappe will give us 2 goals. I hope not, but he probably will. He'll get something. We know how Mbappe does in World Cups. I think he's trying to troll, to be fair. But yeah, I didn't fall for it. I've got the game on my left anyway, even though I'm probably a minute behind. Thoughts on Trump making FIFA overturn the Balogun red card? Well, it's a bit stupid. I mean, ultimately, there are independent committees who work with FIFA who sort of do the rulings, but I think the problem is suspending the sentence. If they overturn it and say, okay, look, it wasn't a red card, we got it wrong, then you could say at least fair enough, although there are question marks because it's Donald Trump involved and the USA. But yeah, it just opens up a can of worms, like with the Ronaldo situation where he got sent off before the tournament started, because when they said, oh, we're going to delay your sentence, then they did the same for Otamendi, who didn't even start for Argentina anyway, Moises Caicedo, and a Qatari player. So it just makes people think, oh, so can Kwanzaa's red card be suspended for next year or next tournament, whatever it might be? It's just stupid, really, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, Balogun, he can't be blamed for that. It's obviously FIFA. And stuff like this, by the way, is what then sort of spices things up. So anything like Egypt against Argentina it's going to be looked at forensically, and then people are going to say robbery, especially if like a underdog is 2-0 up and then it ends up being 3-2. There are decisions that might be controversial or contentious. For me, all the major decisions were correct, but that's my opinion on things. I think with this, it's quite clear that the Balogun red card shouldn't have been suspended. It's just stupid. The same goes for Ronaldo, and then the knock-on effect that had for the other players I mentioned. Yeah, first time Enzo feeling queasy. Hopefully he scores though, and you get some points, and I get my enjoyment, I guess. I got Enzo out. Was it? As out of my options, my rivals had everybody else. That's fair enough. I mean, Enzo is probably the best of a bad bunch in that Argentina midfield when it comes to World Cup fantasy, but he's very good on the international stage. Justice prevailed. All the world supporting Belgium that match. Most, not all, but I get your point. Yeah, justice, I guess, prevailed. I mean, that almost fueled Belgium as well. It gave them more motivation, but I think Spain will knock them out anyway. Adster says, to be fair, I personally like the -3 more. Well, the Yamal one is very good, to be fair. That's because I read it very quickly and I said, yeah, -6. But then I looked at the Yamal one. I'm like, ooh, that's very close. So, yeah, maybe you ended up making the right decision. I think both of them were very viable and it's very close between them. What do you think about the Argentina FA American branch corruption? Oh, don't get me wrong, the Argentinian Federation, yeah, I mean, are they corrupt? I mean, if they weren't, I'd be surprised. But that's a different story. With the Argentinian League, I mean, the president of the federation, he's got his own club in the Argentinian League. And there are some games that are so dodgy. I mean, that's one way of putting it. But when it comes to the World Cups and stuff, a lot of times that people point towards a certain game being fixed. I mean, like the World Cup final, France got 2 penalties, by the way. People forget that. And the second one, there was a handball in the build-up. I think it was by Canate? I think it was. And then it goes to Mbappe, he shoots, and then Montiel handball, penalty given, which is right. But what about the handball in the build-up? So that's why, I mean, honestly, there's nothing I can say to convince most people. I'll let people have their own opinions, but I've got my one, and it's not going to change. But it would be funny if Argentina actually did... well, let me not say anything, actually. Let's just leave it at that. Good for Balogun to be suspended in this game versus Belgium. Yeah, he should have been suspended. Based on the red card decision, it shouldn't have been suspended for a year. That's what we can all agree on. Balogun, yellow or red card, both fine. So up to the ref to decide, not Trump. True. I'm not sure how the FBI is involved, to be fair, with the Argentinian FA, but maybe because Chiqui Tapia, the president of the Argentinian Federation, is in America now watching the games, and also with all the scandals going on, if you will. But I think it's really being overblown. I think because it's Argentina and Messi, it's going to another level, and I don't think people are looking at it objectively. That's my opinion on it. Obviously, people are going to say I'm biased, but I've seen much bigger robberies, like 2019 Copa America. From recent competitions, that's the biggest robbery I've seen. It seemed like that competition was designed for Brazil to win it, but people didn't really give a crap because Argentina were on the receiving end of it, but whatever. I don't think corruption got the Argentina win. Bias, maybe. yeah, look, with fouls and stuff, like yellow cards that weren't given, I can understand that, and it must be frustrating. It's a bit like Real Madrid in the Champions League, who get so many of the 50-50 calls in their favour. So from that perspective, I understand. But when it comes to the Salah penalty claim, it wasn't a penalty. He dived. When it comes to the disallowed goal, oh, you can't disallow a goal that good. Well, you can if it's illegal. There's a foul on Lisandro Martinez. His shirt is pulled. There's also a stamp on his boot, which is the main thing. So ultimately, I think the French referee got it right. And all the other decisions, I think, were spot on, the major ones anyway. So that's just the way I see it. Not everyone will have the same opinion, so that's fair enough. The football is a game of opinions. It is what it is. I will gift 5 more memberships, by the way, to the viewers. Just give me a few more seconds. I did lose the chat for a little bit, so I have to go through it again. Ian with a different opinion. The World Cup is just full of shenanigans, if you ask me. Well, let me know which decisions you think are rigged. I mean, the Balogun one for me is probably the biggest one, and Croatia versus Portugal. I think that is the worst decision in this tournament. Trump calling the FBI to suspend Argentina. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that one. The referee will choose who will win between France and Morocco. I don't think so. Let's see. I mean, so far, that hasn't been the case. People said something similar about this same referee when Portugal got knocked out against Morocco, and honestly, the referee had a good game, and Portugal deserved to get knocked out, but not everyone's ready to hear that. Okay, so 5 more memberships. Let's go. Let's see who gets them. Double Spain has won it in terms of this last poll that I put out. Be sure to like if you haven't done so already. We are close to 200 and we are closing in on 40k subscribers. But to CFC Jake, The Money Method, Essay, Moreno Strum, Don Freeman, and to Adva, enjoy the memberships for an entire month. You know the perks by now. And yeah, a big up to the 10 new members we have in the building, and to all the super chatters, the patrons, the members who have already been signed up, and subscribers. Thank you very much. Yeah, if Argentina, Spain, and France concede 1 and qualify, I'm laughing. The same goes for England as well. It's so annoying. I actually think that's going to be the case. I've gone for 2-1 France, Argentina, and England. I think it's going to happen based on what happened with the clean sheet shield last time. It was such a waste of the chip, but it is what it is. You need a lot of luck with that booster. I personally am not a big fan of it, but if I did well, maybe I'd be a bit more lenient with that. But it's fun. It's a different concept. I like the idea in principle, but yeah, last week was so frustrating with Argentina and England conceding twice. That's what really let it down for me. But thanks, everyone. It's been a blast talking to all of you for the past 3 hours at this point. You know what to do by now. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also the notification bell so you never miss a single upload of mine for FPL, UCL Fantasy, and, well, the World Cup, of course, which we're covering right now. Follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description for my Patreon and the Chumpships. For likes to my videos, proud to comments, amongst many other perks. My Discord server, the World Cup Fantasy League, and Spotify can also be found in the description. I'll see you very soon for the Matchday 7 deadline stream. That is the plan on the 14th of July. And I'll try to get out the best wildcard squad when possible and my team selection. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And I will be building some more graphics, ideas, and templates for FPL and the Champions League next season. So yeah, definitely I'd encourage you to play UCL Fantasy if you haven't done so already. It's a great game to play. And if you enjoy World Cup Fantasy, you definitely will enjoy the Champions League. So I'll see you very soon. Enjoy the matches and good luck with World Cup Fantasy. Let's end this tournament as strongly as possible with those green arrows and by winning our mini leagues. I'll see you soon.